shit out here.
Take the tracker out the bins. Boy, you know that shit is a must. It's 5 o'clock, we lurk, but 9 o'clock, this pussy get on the bus. And my Glock, bitch, I trust. Tie this bitch 2 times, nigga, I'm in a rush. If this pussy boy think we beefing, I'ma thank his ass on some dust. This bitch real bad, I like how she blush. And so fast, you know I tap the sport. This nigga 21, he just jumped out the porch. He felt that hot shit, this Glock twerk. And you know my Glock be real fast, this bitch got hella sport. And you know they drop that bag, get on that ass, show no remorse. Mama told me come
We'll get you some mini tacos.
What's that? Oh, okay.
Need anything else?
I was gonna ask for a Taco Bell, maybe.
Got the money?
Yeah.
Okay, well, when I get back, he's some money.
Alright.
I'm jumping the G-Ride to get shit gone. On the block like Otto, older niggas with a different chrome. If GSP get behind this car, you only got one mission to get me home. Take the tracker out the bins. Boy, you know that shit is a must. It's 5 o'clock, we lurk, but 9 o'clock, this pussy get on the bus. And my Glock, bitch, I trust. Tie this bitch 2 times, nigga, I'm in a rush. If this pussy boy think we beefing, I'ma thank his ass on some dust.
Why the fuck he ran? Cause that pussy seen us. Look at my right wrist bust. Payment scraping, sticky, I trust. Your bitch said she love me, I'm feeling the lust. We roll by, he seen a win a gust. She'll come in the clutch, and we ain't rolling nothing in no Dutch. I'm from the west side, I know how to cut. I'm in the club trying to fill on the butt. It ain't nothing if it ain't got a month. And we slide his ass, he thought we were gon' punt. 8-10 feet, we suck. Now trying to roll a nigga ass in the blunt. I'm gon' prove my point, I ain't pulling no stunt. Free bro, and crack out the joint. We gon' up the scope, cause that shit fun. Drop my window, dump. We took his shit, he a plump. Goof ass nigga go read a book. One of my arts so Captain Hook. When we met, he was so shook. Hold on, nigga, let me cook. Kiss say lil' ass is a rook. Red ass nigga, I don't know what they took. We jack the robbers and step on the crook. Get out the streets, you got shot in your foot. Stop lacking on the block, boy, yeah, better look. 8-10 feet with something, and then a bad bitch DM tryna try my look. She just wanted to fuck, till she looked at my wrist, now she wants
to. Take the tracker out the bins. Boy, you know that shit is a must. It's 5 o'clock, we lurk, but 9 o'clock, this pussy get on the bus. And my Glock, bitch, I trust. Tie this bitch 2 times, nigga, I'm in a rush. If this pussy boy think we beefing, I'ma thank his ass on some dust.
I can't even tell you why we fell out in the first place. Tell me why all the real niggas got 2 birthdays. My city so fucked up, niggas dying in their birthplace. My father was a stepper, so respect gotta be my birthright. Cause you can get stepped on in your car, on your dirt bike. Nobody was trying to pick up a gun, they must ain't have a ride. Sliding when it's raining, cause somebody had to take strike. We so paid in full, but if that was us, they would've shanked ice. Miss was being too friendly, but all that love at once he couldn't resist. He got left in that hallway alone, he bled out from that knife. Wait for you to say something, he backstabbed him, but I know he shot him. The street been back though, Rico snitching, he the one who popped him. Down the DA kick mama though, she called my phone to strike. They sent his older 96 months, and June lost his father. I feel for him that she was so crazy, he was just like me. Before I was one, my daddy called 10, my father was my mama. I screamed free real when he was his birthday, that's my favorite striker. My nigga died, he was on that chase, I wish them people caught him. We used to walk around the hood, we used to rap our version. Now I just rap him to myself, he made me go way harder. I talked to my Dre time to time, they need to free that shooter. I told them how they keep on nuts on me like Vince Carter. I heard the drill play me in the counter, they should've freed him sooner. Cause I know niggas down the road who ain't never seen tomorrow. Free tragedy, he used to steal cars and bring them to the hood. I fuck lil' y'all at the spot, then kicked out like it was sport. She wanna fuck cause I'm in the cat with about them times when I rode a martyr. I ain't never tell them what you taught me, don't never tell them what I taught. They say I ain't stepping, I'm just a rapper, them niggas cap, I'm really an Arthur. Caught the shield when she got real, cause squeeze his mama raised a daughter. Bitch, stop ain't say that was his sticky, made bro time way longer. I feel just like Hope when I'm on them perks, they made me feel way stronger. Bro can't breathe no more, she made me hurt, I wish the role was verse. Think about them hot boxes, I jumped in just like Kiki Palmer. And all my dogs watch me from heaven, I know they proud I'm winning. I kept that Glock 26 when I started serving out that charger. Real kept the same gun shit, I was really trying to be just like him. I had met your brother and he showed me how to raw way smarter. I been new Lil Sky, that been my nigga since we went to Harper. I ain't know shit about the first love, but I had found that duh. Like every time I got beat up, I had to call him Mari. But the real start catching back to back, just tell him free the cars. And free his brother Lolo brought me 2 cars through my apartments. I respect the killer and the man who always taking charge. Cause I know niggas who doing life and they won't tell who responsible. Your brother gets me on this song and you get held accountable. Like the keys 2 guns on me, CIP 2 got Casey. And Casey was a crook, so that ain't nothing, can tell you a lot about him. Go spin a block, your nigga die, you cannot do no powder. Her heart keep putting her to me, she might have to reroute it. I can flow like this, that's why they hate me. I don't even got a diss in every song I drop, it be a problem. Walk in the store, grab me some mollies and a pack of grabbers. robbers. One trying to give me his little cash, no car, I had to stall him. Keep my game fade, watch the move go bad, still came my halftime ballin'. I thought Westside born in Grady. When pistol cost an arm and leg, went in the room and took big bro revolver. I used to tell them lies and you just face me. I just sit and lie right in your face to tell the truth, I'd rather you be honest.
Nigga, what? They like, Pap, you ain't been dropping, boy. You ain't been dropping no music. You just been. I've been in them streets, nigga. I've been thugging, nigga, for real. Nigga, I ain't like your favorite rapper at all, nigga. Yeah. I ain't these niggas that they just give them a script, tell them read the script. Nah, nigga. I wrote the book, nigga. Gonna shut the fuck up, nigga, and do this shit my way, you hear me? Yeah. I'm in the booth right now, wildin' with 2 houses around my neck. I remember back in product moving 2 ounces off the step. I'm a real warlord, bitch, I'm a problem in the jakes. He ain't like me, he got icy, little bro robbed him for his neck. I built an empire, nigga, fuck a empire check. He sent diss at the diss, then got sent to his death. They like, Poppy, keep it quiet, we in the street, we steady wildin'. I'm with the 6s, what's the problem? He moving funny, Brody shot him. I got an album release party, I'm high on perks, I got my 40. I had an interview, was late as shit, they ain't wanna let the gang in. If they can't come in, I ain't doing it. We move as one nigga, we a unit. My phone ringing back to back. Flat to the wall, they put my bag. I had it shooting at my show, so my booking's kinda slow. I been blew through my advance. Bitch, I'm back to moving dope. My mama begging me to change. I'm telling her this all I know. Bitch, I'm Ali against the road. Bust down Cubans, these ain't roads. I'm steady ducking from parole. Cause FaceTime show another pole. Put money on the ops head. It keep up until they gone. Nigga, I'm God on my block. Ain't no nigga finna try me. Don't give a fuck about no deal. I catch a motherfucking high. Street nigga with bad credit. Front meeting your ass dead. Called the guide in his last second. Stood over and meet your brethren. Who the fuck want war with us? Check the score, we 40 up. Shorty slide through scorch or something. Stick on him long as a bus. Cuz riding right or wrong. I had my mind made all along. I clutch my fire when I'm alone. Go back a year, get in that mode. I'm on stage to show the kid. Bitch better not play, you meet the glick. It's residue on my mirrors. I'm a dope boy, clearly. 60K for my AP, I wish BK could put it on. Your niggas died, you ain't do shit. You hit the booth and made a song. My brother flatline, I lost my mind. Spunt all night till somebody died. Stop
Somebody died.
Wherever you catch him, open fire. My sister said she pray for me. For what? I got a Drake with me. Ain't no nigga gonna play with me, little.
Your 8 crate. Oh. Javelins, huh? Javelins.
With Verizon, you could save big on all your favorite entertainment. Whoa!
I'm George Parag. I'm a dermatologist. I'm currently the chair of the Department of Dermatology here at Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center. Non-melanoma skin cancer is actually the most common skin cancers that we routinely see, and they are not necessarily the easiest to identify. Non-melanoma skin cancers come in two major categories. Most of them are so-called basal cell carcinomas. Another subset are the squamous cell carcinomas, and they do look somewhat different. Basal cell carcinomas usually will be these small pink macules or papules, so flat small areas or minimally bumpy areas on the skin that can look sometimes really bright pink. Occasionally they can be sort of barely pearly and more sort of pearly white. So people should be looking for small sores, areas that sort of break open easily, areas that bleed easily, and pearly bumps or pink bumps on the skin that continue to very slowly grow. Squamous cell carcinomas occasionally show up as patches of the skin. Occasionally they will show up as sort of warty bumps on the skin. They may sometimes hurt. Occasionally the area may itch. Sometimes there may be minimal burning sensation. Usually for all of these are going to be relatively unique areas of the skin where there are not going to be similar lesions elsewhere. Everyone will have usually hundreds, some people thousands of skin lesions. One thing that usually distinguishes problem spots is that usually problem spots will look uniquely different from many other spots on the skin. So ABCDF is sort of a really good way to remember what someone needs to look for when they are looking for problem.
Zima vibes. Thank you.
A stands for asymmetry.
Are you the real Zima?
B stands for border handle. E, something I use skin lesions to recognize problem lesions. That's sort of in my
Valley High Nissan is honoring our heroes with Memorial Day savings all month
Let
long.
me use the restroom.
Choose from over 200 pre-owned vehicles.
Ah. Swedish fish flavor. Swedish fish flavor. Flavor. No flavor. Flavor. I don't like. Man.
Hit it blunt till it turns to a roach. I know niggas you wouldn't approach. Dunk on niggas like I'm 24. Crack the seal and I put me a foe. I got the vision, but you wouldn't know. They drink in my system, I pour some more. You not fucking with me, don't hit on my phone. I was scamming these shit with a guy. Biggest butt like an eagle, I'm fly. I rap here cause I went through our time. Put a switch on the back of my 9. You got Gucci, I got number 9. Flawless diamond, they came for the mines. Since seen it like I drink wine. I'ma fuck up my back and I
Zip.
I got motion like
I'm a zip.
For my house, they got put in a zip. Like a movie, I got many clips. Smoking good, put your pee in a loose.
The sleeve.
Think you know me, but don't know me. Had to run up a bag with my 2 feet. Smack your head with your pocket, give you loose teeth. Yeah, okay, yeah. This some bad shit, take it here. But I'm back and better. You ain't get no cheese, you ain't get no cheddar.
You ain't get no check.
Clutching on Berettas. Got a chain up on the way, they see me doing better. I got labels on my phone, but they ain't show no cheddar. Nigga tryna steal my swag, guess I'm a trendsetter. Many times I fucking failed, so I did it better.
Look at them guys.
Biggest butt like an eagle, I'm fly. I rap here cause I went through our time. Put a switch on the back of my 9. You got Gucci, I got number 9. Flawless diamond, they came for the mines. Since seen it like I'm drinking wine.
Bags in a dip.
I got motion like I'm on a ship. For my house, they got put in a zip. Like a movie, I got many clips. Smoking good, put your pee in a loose leaf. Think you know me, but don't know me. Had to run up a bag with my 2 feet. Smack your head with your pocket, give you loose teeth.
You regular, not your cake, bitch ass nigga. Step up and get Donos.
Yeah, hit it blunt till it turns to a roach. I know niggas you wouldn't approach. Dunk on niggas like I'm 24. Crack the seal and I put me a foe. I got the vision, but you wouldn't know. They drink in my system, I pour some more. You not fucking with me, don't hit on my phone. Yeah. I was scamming these shit with a guy. Biggest butt like an eagle, I'm fly. I rap here cause I went through our time. Put a switch on the back of my 9. You got Gucci, I got number 9. Flawless diamond, they came for the mines. Since seen it like I'm drinking wine. I'ma fuck up my back and I dip. I got motion like I'm on a ship. For my house, they got put in a zip. Like a movie, I got many clips. Smoking good, put your pee in a loose leaf. Think you know me, but don't know me. Had to run up a bag with my 2 feet. Smack your head with your pocket, give you loose teeth. Yeah, okay, yeah. This some bad shit, take it here. But I'm back and better. You ain't get no cheese, you ain't get no cheddar. Before I had my Glock with clutching on Berettas. Got a chain up on the way, they see me doing better. I got labels on my phone, but they ain't show no cheddar. Nigga tryna steal my swag, guess I'm a trendsetter. Many times I fucking failed, so I did it better. Yeah, I was scamming these shit with a guy. Biggest butt like an eagle, I'm fly. I rap here cause I went through our time. Put a switch on the back of my 9. You got Gucci, I got number 9. Flawless diamond, they came for the mines. Since seen it like I'm drinking wine.
Bags in a dip. I'm a ship.
For my house, they got put in a zip. Like a movie, I got many clips. Smoking good, put your pee in a loose leaf. Think you know me, but don't know me. Had to run up a bag with my 2 feet. Smack your head with your pocket, give you loose teeth.
You regular, not your cake, bitch ass nigga. Step up and get Donos. Wow.
A next level power station. The Jackery 5000 Plus
Why can't I
is
hit
designed
it?
to be a reliable home power solution, including acting as a battery backup and a solar generator.
This is the Explorer 5000 Plus. This is definitely going to be contender against the other big brands. Now we have got an early look at a pre-production Jackery system.
Jackery. So I'm going to be showing you guys a brand new Jackery. It's the Jackery Explorer 5000 Plus, brand new.
This video is sponsored by Jackery and their Explorer 5000 Plus.
Biggest beefy.
Why would you skip, bro?
Trap house and I waited dope and grams. Like my name Brand. Try to hide the fire, but you can tell. Jab out where I'm standing. Told my little bro push up chain the skull. Cause he told Ken. Told her home come push up any dough. She got neck like Ken. White hoe told me come and fuck her good. Push up to a man. Slide inside they hood. Thought they won't shoot back, but these niggas men. Hang with the game. Nigga start a coke. Just like Charles Manson. This as I crazy side this wood. But I smoke her again. But I take the perk 10, the man in him. See my I didn't get him, give him 0 chance. Seen the blue lights and then hot bars and it made me in. The bro got locked on a list, but he'll be in my hand. We was starving, me and my cousin split grilled cheese sandwich. Put on all black, nigga robbing, he's a freaking bandit. Pop a perk set on a flight, still flying when I land. Lil' posted on the block, he sound like Mark Skin.
Because she was using I was gonna fight a major. But they skipped me. And when I get into PKing, you just try, brother. Try it, I'll miss. That's a good starter. Good start. Him here. Come on, bro. He's like 50 HP.
Make the mother lose her son. Opposite of being. Wet they block up like a sponge, like they do with Sandy. Pour 4 on my peach soda. I'm drinking peach brandy.
Kill him right here.
Get her high as hell. It is who supply the neck. I supply the nails. The bro supplied me on the street. I supply his mail. Seen 20K at 17. Ask me why I'm playing. I wrecked the whip and I
He ain't supplying no bail.
Fuck that. I just hit me one more lick. I can take a why the fuck my mama almost snitched but told me never tell. I came home and I see myself on TV. After lick I fell. Junkie past the trap, he get intrigued. Cause dopey smell. Walk down with a 38 special. You don't leave shell. He need gas, it only makes sense to meet me at the shell. Uncle caught life, hope he find a way to cripple by this cell. You don't hear my daughters, it's okay, the nigga evil's hell. Nigga grew up robbing, cause the evil shit run through my cells.
Seriously, I thought it was 15% power, bro. Oh, it's not the freaking updated freaking mace, bro. Dang it, man. That's so BS. I would have killed him way sooner. Would have killed him way sooner, guys.
Nigga jump inside the street, now you getting near. All I gotta do is point my finger, any nigga ear. Shot the 9-11 times, nigga sound like terror. Put your little bro on a shirt, but don't you like wearing it? I got spot with 19X, nigga know I'm carrying. Daddy hit with a 38, that gun somewhere buried. Nigga hide inside the street when I see my cousin carry. In the street we dug in the tech, I'm talking about where it's Perry. Rolling 20, I'm banging some mad, but I'm living like Mary. Like for the crib, I have that point I glass dairy. I have that, seen a nigga trip, he time at spirit. Seen police on the lead, I run like Tom and Jerry. Face shot, not got these TV, finna see the fairy. You know I keep a stick like wizard, I be here. You know I'm banging beat, flags ain't color cherry. You know the trap move fast, and your shit move like Gary. Hell no, I don't count cash, money counter got me carry. I can straight up with that stick and use that stick to take on down. I took in this thing close, and I'll take these rounds. And I'll spell with your main shit, she finna make me drown. For young niggas I can't with, slide we shoot out the town. Young nigga walk around with it, and can't tell my kill. Young nigga post behind on the damn block, ain't tell my chill. Young nigga try to ride on the block, traffic-ties the real. Trying about what it on, trying to make a nigga swim. You wanna be in the street, but don't know how to stick.
Man, what a waste.
Before he hit a lick, he put on all that mass Tim's.
What a waste, bro.
Nigga, I'm trying to do a hit, but these niggas scared. Nigga, all that ain't shooting shit, he just terror. Nigga, nigga jump inside the street. Now you getting married. Walk on when I push up on that gang, on that thing. Ain't crashing with myself deep in it 19. Get a dirty gun from bro, I have back to you, nigga. In and out on that beat.
I'm risking it.
We can get on a back, boy. I don't smoke damn cigarette. Nigga don't know where that stick from. You know where that stealing from. I feel where that stealing from. Walk around with this stick, but they ain't slim. You wanna be in the street, but don't know how to work the stick. You tryna hawking out with that 5.56, I'll shoot out nigga lean. Before he hit a lick, he put on all black mass Timbs. I'm rocking this shit here. Nigga, I'm trying to do a hit, but these niggas scared. Nigga, all black ain't shooting shit, he just here. Nigga, jump.
One more big hit.
Now you getting married.
Big hit. Come on. Give me 45. It doesn't save whatsoever, man. Give me a 45.
You spend a lot of time with your monitor. Working, gaming, learning. Finding the right monitor is like finding your perfect match. Your number one.
Grew up a little.
What features are you looking for? Easy on the eyes? Check. Reliable? Oh yeah. Style? Done. Turn heads with a monitor you can trust. The world's number one monitor company. A perfect fit for you.
Dill. I meant to fucking Void Waker, bro.
Join Google Fi Wireless and get $800 off Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra with $300 off instantly. Get more done with...
Have you consider opening your curtains? Never. Never. Right. All right. ALR. Get the Wendy's 4 for 4. The Wendy's 4 for 4. Well.
This Theo Von Gaza backlash has absolutely exploded, with some former critics defending him and former allies now.
Thank you for the follow.
What's really going on with Trump's so-called big, beautiful tax bill after midnight blowups and conflicting reports have been coming out? A brain-dead woman in Georgia is now being forced to go to term because of the state's abortion law, as Pedro Pascal and others are standing up for Planned Parenthood, and why people may start going to jail for paying for a certain kind of OnlyFans content in July. We're talking about all that and much more on today's brand new Philip DeFranco Show, your daily dive into the news, starting with this. Comedian and podcaster Theo Von is getting a lot of love and a lot of hate around Gaza right now. Right in that, after he shared a clip where he expressed sympathy and heartbreak for those in Gaza and called what was happening there a genocide.
There's a conflict that's been happening in the Middle East. People know about it, between Israel and Palestine and some of the areas over there, the Gaza area they talk about. And I just think it feels to me, I don't know if it feels to me like it's a genocide that's happening while we're alive here in front of our lives. And I don't, sometimes I feel like I should say something. I'm not a geologist or geographer or anything like that, so I don't know a lot of some of it I do know though. Like I know the basics of the issues over there. But for me, it's just like how I feel.
Theo saying he's seen photos of people, children, families with their body parts hurt or scattered, and it feels hard to watch this without speaking out about it, and adding,
I think we're watching probably like, you know, one of the sickest things that's ever happened.
My God, I hate this fucking phone, bro.
Kind of haven't said about
The
it.
fingerprint fucking work. Doesn't fucking work, man.
He's also complicit in it. You know, it's in it. And has been for a long time.
And while he originally said all this during an episode of his podcast earlier this month, he just...
I get a newer phone and the fingerprint doesn't work, bro. I got a newer phone.
Shared that clip on Twitter and TikTok yesterday with the caption, "What are we doing?" With, you know, bringing in a whole new wave of responses and reactions, right? Some shocked that he shared his opinion, especially since he's often considered part of the podcasting manosphere, or at least as overlapping with that community, and some seeing him as a kind of a Joe Rogan heir apparent, especially as he also attended Trump's inauguration alongside
so annoying, bro. Fuck's sake.
Surprised that he felt this way about Gaza and writing. It's so important for people like Theo Von to be saying this stuff with their demographic. And say what you will about Theo, but this really does speak to how a majority of Americans feel about what's happening in Gaza and how powerless we feel watching our own government take part in it. But then also, he got a ton of backlash for a number of different reasons. You had some furious at him for speaking out about this, but not being as vocal about October 7th. You also had a number of people on both sides of the issue kind of just thinking...
Cover the entire fingerprint sensor. I am, bro. Oh my God. Fucking bullshit, bro.
Massive swing to one side on an issue he doesn't know much about. With some then specifically pointing to the
Free
fact
Palestine. Fuck, man.
that he said he's not a geologist as evidence that he's not educated here in writing. Unpopular opinion, this is why not every content creator should speak out / give their opinion on stuff like this. I'm not a geographer or geologist, like what the fuck is this? If you really care, then use the platform to spread educated people's voices on it, not whatever this is. So then others defended him against the backlash, saying, I think it's fair to say that what he is expressing here is a normal, fair, and relatable reaction. It is easy to dunk on him for the geologist comment or to ask about the hostages, but the reality is Theo is like most people who just see suffering. Kids buried in rubble, parents weeping over dead bodies, neighborhoods destroyed, and want it to stop. His feelings and empathy seem entirely genuine. It's saying this is a deeply human and good thing, and we shouldn't demean him or anyone else for having them. But that's also not where the controversy ended, because you also had a number of people frustrated that he said this even though he associates himself with Trump, or with him among other things, having just been in Miami with Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, and he made an appearance during Trump's visit to Qatar doing a stand-up set before the president delivered remarks. And so with this, you have some saying he's not just kind of MAGA adjacent, he's fully part of Team Trump. And all of this is Trump really hasn't been seen as Gaza friendly, and even shared a video reimagining the Gaza
Worst
Strip
fucking
like
fingerprint sensor in my life, man.
Theo was being a hypocrite here
Fuck's
for
sake.
the U.S. government's actions one minute, but then playing buddy-buddy with Trump and his family the next. Writing things like, Theo, you voted for and attended an inauguration for a man who joked about building hotels over the top of the wreckage. You supported the man who funded it with a smile. And with that, arguing that no one should fall for what they called his crocodile tears, and that his sympathy for Gaza in that clip, it's just performative. But again, depending on where you go on the internet, drastically different reactions. And so while all of this is playing out, I then got to pass the question up to you. What are your thoughts around this? And I'll leave that as kind of a more open question, because there are some black and white takes that I've seen and some kind of more nuanced ones. But then from that, next up, in very interesting news, if you are an OnlyFans user in Sweden, you might go to prison. Right in that, because the Swedish parliament just passed a law equating the purchase of sexual content online with purchasing sex from a prostitute, which one is already illegal in Sweden, and two comes with a punishment of up to a year in prison for the buyer. And specifically, under this new law, which is set to take effect July 1st, it will be illegal to pay someone to carry out a sexual act remotely for the specific purpose of that act being viewed by the buyer. Or in other words, this is not a complete ban on internet porn, but it is meant to target specifically live commissioned interaction. So watching pre-recorded content, that is still legal, and you can even watch lives as long as you are not paying for a specific act. You know, this type of content that they've made illegal, it spells some serious trouble for sites like OnlyFans, because those live, special commissioned interactions, they're both incredibly popular popular and incredibly lucrative for the performers. And then as far as why the Swedish government has done this, right, do they have an issue with OnlyFans? Well, there I'll say it's not that simple, because during parliamentary debate, lawmakers argued that this
He's
law
a
is
shit
meant to
fucking
address
fingerprint
dangerous
reader,
aspects
man.
of online
Oh
sex
my
work,
God.
with one MP saying this is about digitalized prostitution, where the boundaries between pornography
Fuck's
and human trafficking
sake.
are blurred, but where exploitation
What
and
the
abuse are
fuck?
present. But then another MP saying after the bill passed, this is a new form of sex purchase, and it's high time we modernize the legislation to include digital platforms.
Never
And as you'd
fucking
expect,
works,
we're seeing a
man.
lot of people both celebrating and heavily criticizing the move, with advocates saying that the new law makes a standard on sex work in Sweden uniform and clear. What's illegal in person is now illegal digitally, saying the digital world can no longer be an entry point for prostitution. Then, as far as the criticism, that's actually coming from a couple of different places. You have some saying this is just born of moral panic, let adults be adults, but then others saying this actually doesn't go far enough, and they've called for the ban of platforms like OnlyFans altogether. And then also there are just some that are concerned that this law could end up arbitrary as performers and fans find loopholes. But again, this doesn't go into effect until July 1st, but it will be interesting to see if we see charges start to come from this. But then, next up today, let's talk about abortion, or rather, more specifically, let's talk about this recent wave of advertising and messaging that we've seen from reproductive healthcare nonprofits.
Come on!
Planned Parenthood. And that's
Fuck's
because the group
sake!
just got backing from dozens of big stars for a campaign that started just today with a full-page ad in the New York Times. With it dubbed the I'm for Planned Parenthood initiative, and per Rolling Stone, it comes in response to the Trump administration's attacks on Planned Parenthood. Because back in April, they announced plans to freeze family planning funds for the group, which is a move that'll cut access to birth control, cancer screenings, and more. And so this new campaign, it highlights the things that Planned Parenthood healthcare is currently facing, with it also stating that 1 in 4 people in the U.S. have been to a Planned Parenthood health center for care, birth control, cancer screenings, wellness exams, STI testing and treatment, abortion, gender-affirming care, and more. And you had big names signing on to it, including Pedro Pascal, Olivia Rodrigo, Addison Rae, Harry Styles, Megan Thee Stallion, and way more. And you had Planned Parenthood thanking those stars on Instagram and writing that healthcare decisions should be made by patients, not politicians. Right? And this is Planned Parenthood is not the only group that's been trying to raise awareness lately. With, for example, Axios reporting that a group called the Bridget Alliance is rolling out campaigns in Florida, Louisiana, and Georgia. Right? And their specific focus is helping people who need to travel out of state for abortion care, helping to cover transportation, lodging, coordination, childcare, and more. And in Florida, you had the group targeting people on Facebook, Instagram, and more with digital and audio ads about their services. And in Georgia, the group will run 2 static billboards around the Atlanta area for a month, with them then also posting billboard trucks in front of universities and crisis pregnancy centers. And this notably comes as there's a ton of focus on abortion laws in Georgia right now.
No fucking way!
Adriana Smith, which if you haven't heard, it is just a nightmare story, where she's a 30-year-old nurse in Atlanta, and according to her family, she was about 9 weeks pregnant when she was declared brain dead in February. With her story then getting a lot of attention over the last week after her family told local news that Adriana has been on life support for more than 90 days since she was declared brain dead and is now 21 weeks pregnant, with the hospital telling her family that they are keeping her alive until the baby can be delivered due to the state's abortion ban. And so as you might imagine,
Fuck's sake, bro. I actually fixed it, dude. Piece of shit fucking phone, man. Piece of shit fucking phone. Not what I mean, guys. Let's see some BH action. Yo, what's up, Swamp Lord? God damn, bro.
this has sparked a ton of outrage and debate on
What's up, guys? We'll be live on Twitch doing Bounty Hunter. Thank you so much, everybody. That's the sub. We're also live on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Not Instagram yet, but Kick.
how strict abortion laws should be interpreted in cases like this, especially because this most likely is going to end in an all-around tragedy. Because you have medical experts telling the Washington Post that they know of no cases where a mother who was declared brain dead this early in pregnancy but kept on life support was able to have a healthy and successful delivery. And you have Adriana's family is saying that, they don't know what's going to happen and they don't know what choice they would have made if they had been given any options. But what's frustrating is that they had no say at all. And so then with all that, you had a Democratic state senator writing, "This is a grotesque distortion of medical ethics and human decency. That any law in Georgia could be interpreted to require a brain-dead woman's body to be artificially maintained as a fetal incubator is not only medically unsound, it is inhumane. And this is the state's Attorney General Chris Carr has denied that Georgia's abortion law mandates this with his office writing. There is nothing in the Life Act that requires medical professionals to keep a woman on life support after brain death. Removing life support is not an action, quote, with the purpose to terminate a pregnancy. But still, you have the hospital, Emory Healthcare, maintaining it, quote, uses consensus from clinical experts, medical literature, and legal guidance to support our providers as they make individualized treatment recommendations in compliance with Georgia's abortion laws and all other applicable laws. And notably, there some legal experts have said they understand how they landed there. With, for example, a professor at Drexel University telling the AP that the hospital is likely concerned about the part of the law that gives fetuses legal rights as members of the species Homo sapiens. Right? Meaning that the hospital likely feels that it has to consider Adriana and the fetus as two separate patients, meaning that there is an obligation to keep the fetus alive even if she's dead. Within that professor adding, these are the kinds of cases that law professors have been talking about for a long time when they talk about fetal personhood. You know, even though you had Carr slamming this interpretation of the law, you also had Republican State Senator Ed Setzler supporting it, saying, I think it is completely appropriate that the hospital do what they can to save the life of the child. I think this is an unusual circumstance, but I think it highlights the value of innocent human life. I think the hospital is acting appropriately. And you know, as the attention around the story has grown and the public outrage has grown with it, her family also started a GoFundMe for medical costs that has raised nearly $100,000. And there you had people writing things like, it is a misuse of power of violence.
Dude, my phone is so bad at it, like the fingerprint sensor, man. It was. I had to switch fingers, bro. Fuck's sake, bro.
Violation of dignity and a painful delay of sacred closure. Your daughter's soul deserves peace, as well as you should have been given a choice. We should all be rioting outside of that hospital and demanding this broken law be rectified. But ultimately, that is where we are right now, and unfortunately, this ends up being another one in the column of just nightmarish post-Roe stories that we're seeing play out. And then I've got way more news you need to know about in just a minute. But first, a quick word from our sponsor. Because y'all, you know, gut health chatter, it's everywhere. Millions of posts, endless videos, head spinning amounts. But amidst the confusion, there's one company standing strong for scientific integrity and transparency, and that's today's sponsor, Seed. And specifically, I'm talking about Seed's DSO1 Daily Synbiotic, aka the product that rescued my digestive system from what weird and concerning, but you know what I mean. But then, going back to the news, Trump's big, beautiful tax bill, it could go up for a vote as soon as tonight, and you've got the president himself claiming that the GOP is tremendously unified. But this notably as key members of the party have said the exact opposite. So the top level TLDR is that this measure, which was drafted by House Republicans, it would set key parts of Trump's legislative agenda, with the bulk of the initial legislation being composed of more than $4 trillion in tax cuts, which include the extension of the 2017 cuts made under the first Trump administration. But also, in order to pay for that, the GOP has proposed a series of cost-cutting measures. With that, including among other things, massive cuts to food stamps and Medicaid that will force millions of poor Americans to lose their health insurance and other key benefits. But even then, a preliminary analysis by the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimated that this proposal would add roughly $2.3 trillion to the debt over the next decade, which, sirens going off, is a figure that many economists and Wall Street investors find incredibly alarming. And it's one that would force officials to mandate across-the-board spending cuts, including slashing Medicare by nearly $500 billion over 10 years. Right, and that, as the CBO also found that the Republicans' big, beautiful bill would hurt the poorest Americans as it benefits the richest, with them estimating that in 2027, the bottom 10% would lose the equivalent of 2% of their income, largely thanks to reduced benefits. And while that's happening, the top 10% is projected to see an increase of 4% thanks to the Trump tax cuts. So needless to say, Democrats have
attacking me, bro.
This legislation, which has left the Republicans scrambling to cobble together enough of their slim majority to try and get this passed. And, you know, scramble, they have, though it has been an absolute nightmare for them to try to get this divided party to hash out the final detail. On one side, you have hardline conservatives urging deeper cuts to...
Be right back. Back from shower. Oh, come on. Really, man? Look. I had crack.
Offset the trillions of dollars of tax cuts, and they're specifically pushing to slash Medicaid and other federal benefit programs even more. But then also more moderate members and representatives from blue states or swing districts, they've rejected further cuts to programs that their constituents rely on. And then another major sticking point for that group is further increasing the cap on the state and local tax deduction, which is also known as SALT, and it allows taxpayers to write off the amount that they paid in local taxes when they file federal taxes. But many conservative hawks have been skeptical or outright opposed any additional increases to the cap, with the initial legislation already bumping it from $10,000 to $30,000. And so with all that, you then had Trump going to the House to throw his weight around, try to persuade members of his party to rally behind the bill, and seemingly at times even threatening them. With, for example, when asked if lawmakers who oppose the bill would face primary challenges, Trump responded, possibly, and later added, they wouldn't be a Republican much longer. They would be knocked out so fast. Trump then also went on to single out Representative Thomas Massie, who's a libertarian who has been outspoken about his opposition to the bill's spending levels, and the president telling reporters he doesn't understand government. He should be voted out of office. But then more generally speaking, Trump played to the middle of his caucus, with him reportedly telling hawkish members not to fuck around with Medicaid benefits, while also instructing moderates to just accept the SALT deduction cap as is. And ultimately, Trump emerging from the meeting expressing confidence that his party will pass the tax bill and declaring that the GOP is tremendously unified. But in reality, and understand things can change, currently that does not appear to be the case, with it also unclear how much of an impact Trump actually had in swaying members. Or with, for example, the Washington Post reporting that despite Trump's visits, the GOP's narrow majority remained far from unified around the proposal. And even after the meeting, things were still so
nice
tenuous that
freaking
the House
dinner,
Rules
bro.
Committee, which needs to pass the measure first before it can go to
Nice
a full floor
breakfast.
vote, it had to hold a rare overnight meeting to hash out the final details, with members convening at 1 o'clock in the morning and debating well into the morning. And as the Rules Committee debated, Speaker Johnson and other GOP leaders worked behind the scenes to negotiate with the remaining holdouts, with Johnson reportedly promising the Rules Committee at the beginning of their overnight meeting that he would get them a new version of the bill built on his ongoing negotiation. But then, according to reports from the New York Times, after 8 hours of debate, Johnson had failed to deliver any modifications. Though, with that said, the speaker did announce that he did indeed reach a deal with the moderate Republican holdouts who wanted an increase on the SALT deduction cap, with Johnson confirming that he had agreed to raise the cap to $40,000 beginning in 2025 for taxpayers earning less than $500,000. And this morning, while speaking about the agreement, he expressed very high optimism that the bill would pass, telling reporters, "We plan to do it tonight if possible." But that, as you also had the more hawkish Republicans disputing that. For example, Representative Andy Harris, the chair of the ultra-conservative House Freedom Caucus, telling Newsmax, "I think, actually, we're further away from a deal because the SALT cap increase upset a lot of conservatives," saying, "We actually stopped negotiating before midnight because we actually had a deal that was then pulled off the table. So again, this bill actually got worse overnight," with him then explicitly adding, "There is no way it passes today." But then notably here, he appeared to walk back those statements at least a little bit after a private meeting with Johnson, with him saying that the fiscal hardliners in the party saw a pathway forward and were greatly encouraged by the progress that's been made in the last 24 hours. But then he also reiterated that he still doesn't think that the legislation can be passed today or even this week. And to that point, you also had another conservative leader indicating that the bill may not get passed by the Memorial Day deadline that Johnson has set, calling it a completely arbitrary deadline and arguing that it is more important to get this right, to get it correct, than to get it fast. Though that said, there is sort of a deadline, right? A big element of this bill is that it also raises the debt ceiling, which sets the amount of money that the government can borrow to pay its bills. And you've got the Treasury Secretary saying that lawmakers have until mid-July to increase the debt limit or risk a disastrous default. But regardless, what we're hearing from key Republicans on the ground here seems to fly in the face of everything that Johnson and Trump have said. And so for now, we're gonna have to wait to see how this plays out, if they can get this bill on the floor, what changes, who changes. But then even if that does eventually happen, the measure still faces weeks of debate in the Senate where changes are expected. And while Republicans are trying to pass this bill using the reconciliation process, which allows them to bypass the filibuster, the complicated rules that come come with that process could still threaten its chances of success. So I'll also say, notably here on the topic of the Senate, we saw that chamber unexpectedly pass the No Tax on Tips Act, which is exactly what it sounds like, a bill that would eliminate the federal income tax for tips. And specifically, the legislation, which was introduced by Ted Cruz and a bipartisan group of senators, it would create a federal income tax deduction of up to $25,000 a year for tips given in cash, credit and debit card, and checks. Right, so eligible employees would be able to claim a 100% deduction in their tax filings of up to $25,000 in earned tips each year. Though notably, there is a cap for employees who made more than $160,000 in the last tax year, which is a limit that increases with inflation. Right, but the fact that this measure passed the Senate, it was surprising for a few reasons. First of all, it just generally feels like a miracle anytime any legislation can pass with bipartisan support. Right, and while the idea of no tax on tips has garnered widespread support from across the political spectrum, it's really something that was popularized by Trump, who made it a key promise during his campaign. And in fact, part of the reason that we're talking about this now is because Trump's big, beautiful bill also includes a provision that would pause taxes on tipped wages and overtime pay. But Democrats who are against the so-called big, beautiful bill, they've argued that this specific effort would be doomed if it stays in the tax package. Also, it presents them the opportunity to show they support this particular idea, but they can still be against the other bill. Which then brings us to the second reason this vote was a surprise, right? Which was the way that the No Tax on Tips Act was passed. It was very unusual. Because you see, Democratic Senator Jackie Rosen, who co-sponsored the bill, brought it up for approval through a process called unanimous consent, which allows any lawmaker to go to the Senate floor and seek passage of legislation as long as no other member objects. So normally, unanimous consent is used for more routine and procedural matters, with, for example, Politico explaining that unanimous consent success rates are not high for major changes to the tax code. Now also, what I'll add here is while you have many applauding this move, you also have many experts saying that this proposal, it won't actually do much to help working Americans. And that is, some projections show that it'll cost the federal government between $10 to $15 billion in lost revenue every year. Because according to an analysis by Yale's Budget Lab, tipped workers do not make up a large share of the labor force, with them adding that those who do tend to be much younger than non-tipped workers and do not make enough to pay federal income tax anyway. In fact, some economists say this move could actually hurt low-income tipped workers. Right, in that because it would increase their total income enough to make them ineligible for other more significant tax benefits. And some progressive groups further warning that this plan could just distract from other policies that could more successfully benefit working class and low-income Americans. But as far as what's going to happen next, right, the No Tax on Tips Act, it still needs to get passed by the House and signed by Trump. And then even with that, you had Senator Cruz indicating that the measure could be passed as part of the broader tax bill. And because a version of it's already included in that legislation, it seems like House leaders would probably opt to keep it there rather than have a whole separate vote. But also, that decision ultimately depends on the fate of the big, beautiful bill, which brings us kind of full circle to where we started. And then I've got even more news for you in just a minute. But first, thanks to our sponsor. Because, you know, politics often feels more like performance art. Stunts, sound bites, and outrage just about daily. What actually matters, it often gets lost in the noise. And that is actually why I've been using Ground News, which is a news comparison platform that helps us see how today's stories are being covered across the political for free. And, you know, to you or me, that might sound kind of like an odd comment or maybe a slightly out of touch comment. Man, that was fucking blasphemous. And that because the country's in the middle of a major rice shortage right now that's massively raising the price of its staple crop. All while there's also a broader cost of living crisis in the country to contend with. Plus, this is all happening just a couple of months before a big pivotal election there that's expected to shake up Japanese politics. Before fully getting into that, let's start with the minister's controversial comment about where he gets his rice. Because basically, while speaking at a fundraiser over the weekend, he claimed that he, quote, never bought rice himself because his supporters donate so much to him that he can practically sell it. With that then sparking widespread outrage across the country, and one opposition leader describing the comment as extremely inappropriate, out of touch, and intolerable. With the opposition there then threatening to submit a no confidence motion against him if he did not resign voluntarily. And that is exactly what he did, with him apologizing for what he described as his extremely inappropriate remark. Then he also seemingly tried to defend his words, reportedly claiming that he does actually buy white rice himself, and that his comment referred only to brown rice, which he said he wants people to become interested in because it can reach the market faster. Right, and the added context there is that those rice shortages have been a growing issue since 2023 when you had hot weather messing with the harvest. So it then also got worse last summer after the government issued its first ever megaquake warning, which led to panic buying, with the crisis then also broadly being blamed on global warming, over tourism, and higher fertilizer and production costs. Plus, on top of all that, wholesalers and distributors are reportedly thought to be hoarding rice stocks to get ready for more potential shortages. And then, maybe Most notably, you have many experts saying that this ultimately all goes back to the government, with them specifically pointing to decades-old policies purportedly meant to protect small-scale farmers, but which have actually kept newcomers from buying or using agricultural land, which has left thousands of acres uncultivated. And then actually with that, they say that efforts to reform the system have been stopped by the National Farming Cooperative and other rural interests, which solidly support the ruling Liberal Democratic Party. And the key thing is that party has governed the country almost continuously since 1955. Though in snap elections last year, the party lost its majority in the lower house of parliament for the first time in 15 years, with then Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba being forced to work with the opposition to form a coalition in order for the party to hang on to power. And in July, there's going to be another election, this one for the upper house in parliament, and another big loss that could mean the prime.
I sit here saving in VH, you know me. I do read chat. I could save if I want to save. He's pretty biased. You don't like him? Why don't you like him? Good fight, I win. Good fight.
Prime Minister would have to step down. In the rice situation and everything connected to it, it seems to be one of the major issues on voters' minds, especially as the government has tried and failed again and again to do something about it. With them, for example, in February announcing unprecedented plans to release up to 210,000 tons of rice from emergency stockpiles. And then in April, when the situation still hadn't improved, importing rice from South Korea for the first time in 25 years. But still, you saw earlier this month the average price of rice sold at supermarkets reaching a record high of just under 4,300 yen for 5 kilograms, or about $29 for 11 pounds, which is around double the price of the previous year. You know, with that, according to one recent poll, the Prime Minister's approval rating dropped more than 5 percentage points in just 1 month. Then the same poll revealing that 87% of respondents viewed the government's response to rising rice prices as inadequate. And so now you have the guy replacing the former agricultural minister telling reporters that he was told to put rice before anything, saying, "At this difficult time, I will do my utmost to speedily tackle the high rice prices that people feel and worry about in their everyday lives." We're going to have to wait to see how that plays out, especially with that election coming up. But that is not where our international news ends, because members of the World Health Organization have now overwhelmingly voted to adopt the first treaty aimed at preventing, preparing for, and responding to any future pandemic. And a big key thing is that the United States is not one of the countries, since Donald Trump signed an executive order pulling the US out of the organization on his very first day back in office. And in fact, with that, the Trump administration is now also reportedly poised to restrict access to COVID-19 vaccines, which is notable because, you know, the COVID-19 pandemic, it's the whole reason that we have this treaty in the first place. Actually, starting there, these talks started way back at the end of 2021. The head of the World Health Organization
always fucking miss the
had shown a light on the many flaws in the global system to protect people from pandemics. And since then, we've seen the whole effort almost fall apart thanks to false claims that the treaty would involve countries ceding sovereignty to the World Health Organization or give it the power to impose lockdowns and vaccine mandates, which, to be clear, is not the case. Right, the treaty, it establishes a framework that's meant to try to prevent pandemics from even starting, right, including things like boosting surveillance of animals to lower the risk of viruses spilling over to humans. It then also lays out steps for responding more effectively once pandemics happen, like getting protective equipment to healthcare workers and aligning regulatory systems to expand access to treatments. And after years of negotiations to work all that out, no country voted against the agreement, with 124 voting in favor and 11 abstaining. Now with that, the treaty won't go into effect until at least 60 countries have signed and ratified it, and that can't happen until a few final issues get resolved, with one of the big remaining sticking points having to do with the creation of a so-called pathogen access and benefit sharing system, which basically would be a way for countries to share genetic information and other data about dangerous pathogens in their territory in exchange for access to vaccines and treatments. And then beyond that, the agreement also outlines a goal of having pharmaceutical companies donate or make more affordable 20% of the pandemic products they produce, with Helen Clark, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand and co-chair of the World Health Organization's panel on pandemics, saying many gaps remain in finance, equitable access to medical countermeasures, and in understanding evolving risks. Don't wait to get started. Dangerous pathogens are looming, and they certainly will not wait. Although with that, I will say not everyone agrees. Right, a lawyer with the Third World Network, for example, which is an international NGO focused on health and developmental issues, you had them saying that the World Health Organization's insistence on concluding negotiations at any cost had pressured lower-income countries into giving in on key elements of the deal. And notably, despite the US not actually being involved, Trump may still be to blame for that, with you having one person involved in the negotiations pointing to the escalating bird flu epidemic in the United States and the anti-science stance approach of the White House as a reason for rushing things. With them saying, quote, everyone felt like we need to get something. You don't know when the pandemic will happen. We can't wait for another 3-4 years. But then with that, the agreement's ultimate impact, it remains unclear. And again, that is largely due to the Trump administration. Because the US has historically been the World Health Organization's biggest funder. And even before this treaty, you had public health experts saying that Trump's decision to leave it could have a major impact on its ability to respond to outbreaks as well as achieve long-term public health goals like eliminating malaria. And now you have his Health and Human Services Secretary, RFK Jr., speaking out against the new treaty and instead calling for a reboot of the whole system. With him claiming, quote, the World Health Organization has not even come to terms with its failures during COVID, let alone made significant reforms and continuing. Instead, it has doubled down with the pandemic agreement, which will lock in all of the dysfunctions of the World Health Organization pandemic response. And then with that, he encouraged other states' health ministers to consider joining him in what he called a new era of cooperation outside of the World Health Organization. And all of this, as I mentioned, within the United States, we're seeing the FDA now limiting access to the COVID-19 vaccine, specifically for most healthy Americans under 65, with the agency saying that manufacturers would have to conduct randomized controlled clinical trials before updated vaccines would receive approval for healthier people. And there, to be clear, health experts have said that there are legitimate questions about how necessary or beneficial it would be for everyone to get vaccinated if they're low risk. But for example, one former federal vaccine official telling NPR, the FDA is signaling a major departure from the one-size-fits-all approach that's largely defined the U.S. vaccination policy until now. Not everyone is at equal risk, and public policy should reflect that reality. Though this is, on the flip side, you have critics saying there are a number of issues with the decision and the way that it's being made. Right, for one, this is happening without the usual input from independent outside advisors, and that, even though there's actually a CDC panel scheduled to debate which vaccines should be recommended to which groups in June. And two, there's concern that this could make insurance less likely to cover COVID vaccines. And three, connected to that, they say that given the overwhelming evidence that COVID vaccines are safe and effective, what this policy is really doing is robbing people of choice. They're saying that some people might want to get it just to be extra safe, and some might want it to protect other people, such as older family members and those with weak immune systems. Right? And so with that, you had one doctor telling the New York Times that he thinks changes like this will lead to more unnecessary deaths. And then another saying it does seem to be based more on this administration's hostility to vaccines and resentment of COVID prevention methods. And adding, I think this is setting a dangerous precedent. But then finally today, I want to give out a congratulations and then talk about yesterday's comments. Right, starting with congratulations to Dustin H., SeatGeek's latest weekly winner, who just scored $500. Dustin said he's looking to use in his winnings for an Atlanta Falcons game. And for the rest of y'all, that's right, SeatGeek is still giving away $500 in tickets, and you should definitely enter today if you haven't already. Just imagine being the next winner and snagging $500 towards seeing your favorite artist, sporting event, or play. And I mean, there's over 70,000 events to choose from. And all you gotta do is add code PDS to your SeatGeek app profile for a chance at the weekly $500 prize, no purchase necessary. So get in on it, and while you may or may not be doing that, let's talk about y'all's comments on yesterday's show and some commentary. Right, when you had in those comments were a lot of people angry about that Jan 6 story. Mysterium saying compensation to people trying to overthrow the government is insane, as well as Trump rewarding money to Jan 6ers is sending a message that violence toward his opponents will be justified and rewarded. Scary fucking time we are witnessing. This is also a big...
Dude, that guy just PK'd like 250 mil.
Slap to the face of all those officers who risked their lives defending the Capitol. And then specifically around the Ashley Babbitt of it all, you had Harold Haskins saying, as a former Marine, Army soldier, and police officer, I see Ashley Babbitt not as a patriot, but as a traitor to our country. The whitewashing of the actions of that fateful day does not change right from wrong. Period. And then regarding some of the clips of commentators connected to that story, you had comments like Magnus Olson quoting Tucker Carlson saying they'll be happy when I die, with Magnus then replying, with all due respect to Tuck, the party supply stores will be sold out. I'm scared to ask what the without respect version of that comment is. Also, I'll say there were a lot of comments and conversation being had around Kristi Noem apparently not knowing what habeas corpus is, with the top comment on yesterday's show coming from UCLA drummer saying, not knowing what habeas corpus is.
We are going to steal Demo!
Hey, alright. How to hoop?
Show a nigga how to hoop. Blocking my pants, bro, couldn't get off. I had to alley. I come through, they block through all they cuts. Alpo gave me the scoop. My ear in the streets, I eat the beef, listed carried in the loop.
Alright.
Big boy Glock 21022. Turkey on the 2150 on it, call it hula hoop. Turkey on the 21 whip, I send me, I'm gon' fully you. Quay man acting hard, that boy bitch, we used to bully you. Took your partner stick, you ain't do shit, but see what you can do. I don't love this bitch, I love this bitch bitch got me confused. 5.56 hit him in his tummy, bullets he consumed. Rap a nigga up just like a mummy, leave him in a tomb. Nigga said my name inside that song, that nigga know he doing. Clapping bitches, you won't need any Brooks, me, I am not
He turned red skull. Oh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yo, what the heck? He accidentally scolded. Oh my gosh. Yo, what the heck? Yo, what the heck? We just got like freaking Rancor, Boywaker. Old Tour Ring. Oh my gosh, yo. What the frick, bro? Oh!
I'ma switch the topic. They say that little stickhead just went fed. Nigga tried to trail me on the highway. That's another head.
Oh my gosh.
Shit down, some niggas in they dread.
Dude, we just PK'd 355 mil.
This nigga baby on the bike and shoot him off the pad. Rapping, robbing, doing shit for fun, but all I know is kill. You ain't get up close and head tap, you don't know how that feel. Oh, you when they coming, know I'm coming for you, this shit real. Oh, he got it scattered and booking it, this don't know his shit pill. Hey, with this I'm smoking block.
Oh my god.
Hey, with this and Fox, I gotta drop and show them how it feel. Switch inside New York, if I get caught, I know I'm doing years. I've been robbing bros and doing.
Let's watch the clip back.
I don't love this bitch, I love this bitch. This bitch got me confused. I know he doing clapping bitch. Quay man acting hard, that boy bitch. We used to bully you. Took your partner stick.
No fucking way.
On the 2150 on it, call it hula hoop. Turkey on the 21 whip, I send me, I'm gon' fully you. Quay man acting hard, that boy bitch. We used to bully you. Took your partner stick, you ain't do shit, but see what you can do. I don't love this bitch, I love this bitch. This bitch got me confused. 5.6 hit him in his tummy, bullets he consumed. Rap a nigga up just like a mummy, leave him in a tomb. Nigga said my name inside that song, that nigga know he doing. Clapping bitches, you won't need any Brooks, me, I am not like
He turned red skull. 355 mil. We just got 355 mil. Oh my god. Guys, we are on the way to the freaking Void Waker. Oh boy, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I was about to quit doing this, man. I was about to quit doing this. Go get Ultor Ring. Ultor Ring. And claws and stuff, bro. What else do we get? Ultor Ring. What the fuck else, bro? I swear we got more than an Ultor Ring. Alright, Ultor Ring plus 150 mil, bro. GG. He accidentally scolded. I'm gonna upload the clip, guys. Look on my channel right now. I'm uploading the clip right now. Poor guy. We had to do it. Beautiful, beautiful. Bullets he consume. Guys, look on my TikTok page in like 1 minute. I'm uploading it right now.
Hit him in his tummy, bullets he consumed. Rap a nigga up just like a mummy.
Hold on, we're gonna go by this. We're gonna go get Dragon Mason Boost Scroll. There we go. Let's go buy some Dragon Maces for this account. Bullets he consume. That is such a beautiful kill, bro. We've been here for ages, man, so it's much deserved.
Him in his tummy, bullets he consume. Rap a nigga up just like a mummy, leave him in a tomb. Nigga said my name inside that song, that nigga know he doing. Clapping bitches, you on any Brooks, me, I am not
He turned red skull. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Yo, what the heck? He accidentally scolded. That is so beautiful. Oh my gosh! Yo, what the heck? Yo, what the heck? We just got like freaking Rancor, Voidwaker, Ultor Ring. Ultor Ring. Oh, snap. Dude, I actually predicted it, bro. Rancor, Voidwaker, Ultor Ring. Beautiful. Show us a clip. Bro, look at my page. It's on my page right now. Bullets he consume. Woo! Guys, we are on the rebuild. Alright. Had a hoopo. Had a hoop.
Blocking my pants, bro, couldn't get off. I had to leave. I come through they block, through all they cuts. Alpo gave me the scoop. My ear in the streets, I eat the beef, listed kid in the loop.
Alright.
Big boy Glock
So then it's day 2.
Turkey on the 2-150 on it, call it hula hoop. Turkey on the 2-1, whip I send me, I'm gon' fully you. Quay man acting hard, that boy bitch, we used to bully you. Took your partner stick, you ain't do shit, but see what you can do. I don't love this bitch, I love this bitch got me confused. 5.56 hit him in his tummy, bullets he consumed. Rap a nigga up just like a mummy, leave him in a tomb. Nigga said my name inside that song, that nigga know he doing. Clapping bitches, you on any Brooks. Clapping bitches, caught him with his bitch, she in the
upper room. Oh, alright.
I'ma switch the topic. They say that little stickhead just went fed. Nigga tried to trail me on the highway. That's another head. 6'2" assassin. Shit down, shoot niggas in they dread. Catch a nigga baby on the bike and shoot him off the ped. Rapping, robbing, doing shit for fun, but all I know is kill. You ain't get up close and head tap, you don't know how they feel. Oh, you when they coming, know I'm coming for you, this shit real. Oh, he got a scatter and booking it, just don't know his shit pill. They would diss and Fox, I'm smoking block, don't know how he got killed. They would diss and Fox, I got a drop and showed on how I feel. Switch inside New York, if I get caught, I know I'm doing years. I've been robbing bros and doing wrong, I'm beefing with my peers. One little Devin died, I caught a spin, you know we had to tear. Liddy spin the Benz, hop out, you sorry, and man gon' work the wheel. Can't told me start tripping, keep going up and you gon' get a deal. Know I'm in the street, don't get no fuck, this shit might get me killed. I be killing niggas off a 3-5, never off no pill. I been shooting niggas wasting knee high, trying to catch a kill. Alright. That nigga tryna catch a kill. We gon' crank your scat up with the all-tail. We don't get no kill. Nigga, my mama. Killing shit like Osama. Slime in Bentley. Tonka. Might spin your shit on the home. We gon' spin your clothes. Coming back for your mama.
Guys, we are making 177 mil per hour. Fuck! What the fuck we on? Had a hoop. Had a hoop.
Blocking my pants, bro, couldn't get off. I had to leave. I come through they block, through all they cuts. Alpo gave me the scoop. My ear in the streets, I eat the beef, listed kid in the loop. Alright.
Alright.
Glock 21022. Turkey on the 2150 on it, call it hula hoop. Turkey on the 21 whip I send me, I'm gon' fully you. Quay man acting hard, that boy bitch, we used to bully you. Took your partner stick, you ain't do shit, but see what you can do. I don't love this bitch, I love this bitch.
Bro looks 20 on 31.
556 hit him in his tongue.
He consume.
Rap a nigga all just like a mummy.
He think in tune.
Nigga said my name inside that song, that nigga know he doing. Clapping bitches, you on Nene Brooks, me, I am not Lil Spoons. Clapping bitches, caught him with his bitch, she in the
Up a boom. Up a boom. Alright.
I'ma switch the topic. They say that little stickhead just went fed. Nigga tried to trail me on the highway. That's another head. 6 foot 2 assassin. Shit down, shoot niggas in they dread. Catch a nigga baby on the bike and shoot him off the ped. Rapping, robbing, doing shit for fun, but all I know is you ain't get up close and head tap. You don't know how they feel. Oh, you when they come in, know I'm coming for you. This shit gon' work the wheel. Can't told me start tripping, keep going up and you gon' get a deal. Know I'm in the street.
It's like 4 Void Wakers, bro.
I be killing niggas off a 3-5, never off no pill. I been shooting niggas wasting knee high, trying to catch a kill.
Alright.
Trying to catch a kill. We gon' crank your scatter with the all-tail. We don't get no kill. Nigga, my mama.
I'm gonna sell the Ultra ring. I'm gonna sell everything, guys.
Come back for your mama. Show a nigga how to hoop. Glock in my pants, bro, couldn't get off. I had that alley. I come through they block, through all they cuts. I poke gave me the scoop. My ear in the streets, I eat the
Alright.
Big boy Glock
Turkey
on the 2-150 Turkey on the 2-1 whip I send me, I'm gon' fully you. Quay man acting hard, that boy bitch, we used to bully you. Took your partner stick, you ain't do shit, but see what you can do. I don't love this bitch, I love this bitch, this bitch got me confused. 556 hit him in his tummy, bullets he consumed. Rap a nigga all just like a mummy, leave him in a tomb. Nigga said my name inside that song, that nigga know he doing. Clapping bitches, you on Nene Brooks, me, I am not Lil Spoons. Clapping bitches, caught him with his bitch, she in the upper room. Oh shit, nigga, she in the upper room. Treat your ass. I'ma switch the topic. They say that little stickhead just went fed. Nigga tried to trail me on the highway. That's another head. 6 foot 2 assassin. Shit down, shoot niggas in they dread. Catch a nigga baby on the bike and shoot him off the ped. Rapping, robbing, doing shit for fun, but all I know is kill. You ain't get up close and head tap. You don't know how they feel. Oh, you when they come in, know I'm coming for you. This shit real. Oh, he got a scatter and bucking it. This don't know his shit pill. They would diss and Fox. I'm smoking block. Don't know how he got killed. They would diss and Fox. I gotta drop and show them how it feel. Switch inside New York, if I get caught, I know I'm doing years. I've been robbing bros and doing wrong, I'm beefing with my peers. One little Devin died, I caught a spin, you know we had.
No, it's just twisted, bro, man.
I bought you sorry and man gon' work the wheel. Can't told me start tripping, keep going up and you gon' get a deal. No, I'm in the street, don't get no
1.4 bill. 1.4 fucking bill for Twisted Bow, man. 1.4 bill for Twisted Bow. You gotta be kidding me, bro. I just PK'd, like, what the fuck? I PK'd the remainder off a freaking Twisted Bow, man. I just PK'd 355 mil. It was beautiful. Hey. How to hoop.
Glock in my pants, bro, couldn't get off. I had that alley. I come through they block, through all they cuts. I poke gave me the scoop. My ear in the streets, I eat the beef.
Hit in the loop. Alright.
Big boy Glock
22.
Turkey on the 2-150 on it, call it
hoop.
Turkey on the 2-1 whip I send me, I'm gon' fully you. Quay man acting hard, that boy bitch, we used to bully you. Took your partner stick, you ain't do shit, but see what
you can do.
I don't love this bitch, I love this bitch, this bitch got me
confused.
556 hit him in his tummy,
bullets he consumed.
Rap a nigga all just like a mummy, leave him in a tomb. Nigga said my name inside that song, that nigga know he doing. Clapping bitches, you on Nene Brooks, me, I am not Lil Spoons. Clapping bitches, caught him with his bitch, she in the upper room. Oh shit, nigga, she in the upper room. I'm treat your ass.
I'ma switch the topic. They say that little stickhead just went fed. Nigga tried to trap me on the highway. That's another head. 6 foot 2 assassin. Shit down, shoot niggas in they dread. Catch a nigga baby on the bike and shoot him off the ped. Rapping, robbing, doing shit for fun, but all I know is kill. You ain't get up close and head tap, you don't know how that feel. Oh, you when they come in, know I'm coming for you, this shit real. Oh, he got it scattered, booking it, the store know his shit pill. Hey, with this and Fox, I'm smoking blunt, don't know how he got killed. Hey, with this and Fox, I got a drop and showed on how it feel. Switch inside New York, if I get caught, I know I'm doing years. I've been robbing bros and doing wrong, I'm beefing
with my peers.
One little Devin died, I caught a spin, you know we had to cheer.
Good evening, what's up, 5P?
You sorry and man gon' work the wheel. Can't told me start tripping, keep going up and you gon' get a deal. No, I'm in the street, don't get no fuck, this shit might get me killed. I be killing niggas off a 3-5, never off no pill. I been shooting niggas wasting knee high, trying to catch a kill. Alright. Trying to catch a kill. We gon' crank your scatter with the all-tail, we don't get no kill. Nigga, my mama. Killing shit like Osama. Slime it, Bentley. Tonka. Might spin your shit on home.
This guy's no defender. Alright. Had a hoop. I remember this guy. Had a hoop.
Blocking my pants, bro, couldn't get off. I had that leave. I come through they block, through all they cuts. Alpo gave me the scoop. My ear in the streets, I eat the beef, listed kid in the loop.
Alright.
Big boy Glock 21022. Turkey on the 2150 on it, call it hula hoop. Turkey on the 21, if I send me, I'm gon'
fool you.
Quit man acting hard, that boy bitch, we used to bully you. Took your partner stick, you ain't do shit, but see what you can do. I don't love this bitch, I love this bitch, this bitch got me confused. 5.56 hit him in his tummy, bullets he consumed. Rap a nigga up just like a mummy, leave him in a tune. Nigga said my name inside that song, that nigga know he doing. Clapping bitches, you on Nene Brooks, me, I am not Lil Spoons. Clapping bitches, caught him with his bitch, she in the upper room. Oh shit, nigga, she in the upper room. I'ma shit your ass. I'ma switch the topic. They say that little stickhead just went fed. Nigga tried to trail me on the highway. That's another head. 6 foot 2 assassin. Shit down, shoot niggas in they dread. Catch a nigga baby on the bike and shoot him off the ped. Rapping, robbing, doing shit for fun, but all I know is kill. You ain't get up close and head tap, you don't know how that feel. Oh, you when they come in, know I'm coming for you, this shit real. Oh, he got it scattered, booking it, the store know his shit pill. Hey, with this and Fox, I'm smoking blunt, don't know how he got killed. Hey, with this and Fox, I got a drop and showed on how it feel. Switch inside New York, if I get caught, I know I'm doing years. I've been robbing bros and doing wrong, I'm beefing with my peers. One little Devin died, I caught a spin, you know we had to cheer. Liddy spin the Benz, hop out, you sorry, and man gon' work the wheel. Can't told me start tripping, keep going up and you gon' get a deal. No, I'm in the street, don't get no fuck, this shit might get me killed. I be killing niggas off a 3-5, never off no pill. I been shooting niggas wasting knee high, trying to catch a kill.
Hey, alright.
That nigga trying to catch a kill. We gon' crank your scatter with the all-tail, we don't get no kill.
No kill.
My mom.
My mom.
Kill shit like Osama. Slime it, Bentley.
Let me use the restroom.
Might spin your shit on home.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Mm. Alright. Bullets he consumed. You will the event? No. Alright. How to hoop? How to hoop? How to hoop? Pants up with the you.
I come through they block, through all they cuts. Alpo gave me the scoop. My ear in the streets, I eat the beef, listed carried in the loop. Alright. Big boy Glock 21022. Turkey on the 2150 on it, call it hula hoop. Turkey on the 21 whip, I send me, I'm gon' fully you. Quay man acting hard, that boy bitch.
You.
Took your partner stick, you ain't do shit, but see what you can do. I don't love this bitch, I love
The
this
bitch is consumed.
5.56 hit him in his tummy, bullets he consumed. Rap a nigga up just like a mummy, leave him in the tomb. Nigga said my name inside that song, that nigga know he do. Clapping bitches, you won't need any brooks, me, I am not the spoons. Clapping bitches, caught him with his bitch, she in the upper room. Oh shit, nigga, she in the upper room. I'm sure your ass. I'ma switch the topic. They say that little stickhead just went fed. Nigga tried to trail me on the highway. That's another head. 6'2" assassin. Shit down, shoot niggas in they dread. Catch a nigga baby on the bike and shoot him off the ped. Rapping, robbing, doing shit for fun, but all I know is kill. You ain't get up close and head tap. You don't know how they feel. Oh, you when they coming, know I'm coming for you. This shit real. Oh, he got it scattered and bucking it. Just don't know his shit pill. They would dissing Fox. I'm smoking block. Don't know how he got killed. They would dissing Fox, I gotta drop and show them how I feel. Switch inside New York, if I get caught, I know I'm doing years. I've been robbing bros and doing wrong, I'm beefing with my peers. One little Devin died, I caught a spin, you know we had to cheer. Liddy spin the Benz, I bought you sorry, and man gon' work the wheel. Can't told me start tripping, keep going up and you gon' get a deal.
Do a reaction video to that. I don't know who that is.
Join Google Fi Wireless and get Pixel 9 on us with $300 off instantly.
What the fuck we on, worst? Alright. How to hoop?
had a hoop. So dude had a hoop.
Blocking my pants, bro, couldn't get off. I had to leave. I come through, they block through all they cuts. Alpo gave me the scoop. My ear in the streets, I eat the beef, listed head in the loop. Alright. Big boy Glock
222.
Turkey on the 2150 on it, call it hula hoop. Turkey on the 21 whip, I send me, I'm gon' fully you. Quit me acting hard, that boy bitch, we used to bully you. Took your partner stick, you ain't do shit, but see what you can do. I don't love this bitch, I love this bitch got me confused. 5.56 hit him in his tummy, bullets he consumed. Rap a nigga up just like a mummy, leave him in a tomb. Nigga said my name inside that song, that nigga know he doing. Clapping bitches, you on Nene Brooks, me, I am not Lil Spoon. Clapping bitches, caught him with his bitch, she in the upper room. Oh shit, nigga, she in the upper room. I'm shit your ass. I'ma switch the topic. They say that little stickhead just went fed. Nigga tried to trail me on the highway. That's another head. 6'2" assassin. Shit down, swoop niggas in they dread. Catch a nigga baby on the bike and shoot him off the ped. Rapping, robbing, doing shit for fun, but all I know is kill. You ain't get up close and head tap. You don't know how that feel. Oh, you when they coming, know I'm coming for you. This shit real. Oh, he got it scattered, booking it. Just don't know his shit pill. They would diss and false. I'm smoking block. Don't know how he got killed. They would diss and false, I gotta drop and show them how it feel. Switch inside New York, if I get caught, I know I'm doing years. I've been robbing bros and doing wrong, I'm beefing with my peers. One little Devin died, I caught a spin, you know we had to cheer. Lady spin the Benz, hop out, you sorry, and man gon' work the wheel. Can't told me start tripping, keep going up and you gon' get a deal. Know I'm in the street, don't get no fuck this shit.
Hello? Yeah. Cherry mango. You getting the brand or just the off brand? Oh. Don't have the popsicle brand. Alright. Yeah, get one of those. Alright. Yep. But
it might get me.
Alright.
Had a hoop.
I had a hoop. So what you had a hoop?
Blocking my pants, bro, couldn't get off.
I said that's what you.
I come through they block.
Blocking the cousin just to be a scoop.
My ear in the streets, I eat the beef, listed head in the loop.
Alright.
Big boy Glock 21022. Turkey on the 2150 on it, call it hula hoop. Turkey on the 21 whip, I send me, I'm gon' fully you. Quit me acting hard, that boy bitch, we used to bully you. Took your partner stick, you ain't do shit, but see what you can do. I don't love this bitch, I love this bitch got me confused. 5.56 hit him in his tummy, bullets he consumed. Rap a nigga up just like a mummy, leave him in a tomb. Nigga said my name inside that song, that nigga know he doing. Clapping bitches, you on Nene Brooks, me, I am not Lil Spoon. Clapping bitches, caught him with his bitch,
she in the upper room.
Oh shit, nigga, she in the upper room. I'm shit your ass. I'ma switch the topic. They say that little stickhead just went fed. Nigga tried to trail me on the highway. That's another head. 6'2" assassin. Shit down, swoop niggas in they dread. Catch a nigga baby on the bike and shoot him off the ped. Rapping shit for fun, but all I know is kill. You ain't get up close and head tap, you don't know how that feel. Oh, you when they coming, know I'm coming for you, this shit real. Oh, he got it scattered and booking it, just don't know his shit pill. They would diss and false, I'm smoking block, don't know how he got killed. They would diss and false, I gotta drop and show them how it feel. Switch inside New York, if I get caught, I know I'm doing years. I've been robbing bros and doing wrong, I'm beefing with my peers. One little Devin died, I caught a spin, you know we had to cheer. Lady spin the Benz, hop out, you sorry, and man gon' work the wheel. Can't told me start tripping, keep going up and you gon' get a deal. Know I'm in the street, don't get no fuck, this shit might get me killed. I be killing niggas off a 3-5, never off no pill. I been shooting niggas wasting knee high, trying to catch a kill. Alright. Nigga trying to catch a kill. We gon' crank your scatter with the all-tail, we don't get no kill. Nigga, my mama.
Mama.
Killing shit like Osama. Shining Bentley. talk. You might spend your shit on home. Hey, cuz, when you come back for your mama, you know that.
Downfall of Xbox.
Something amazing is happening here. Video tools are putting people front and center. That's because
Gosh, I feel bad for Xbox. It's bad being so bad. Kid, I love Xbox. It's just so hard to see them just constantly just fucking up. I just kind of want to go over the rise, fall, and fall, and fall, and fall. Maybe a little bit of a rise after that, and then a fall after that of the Xbox brand, because it's just been all over the place. I mean, starting things out in 2001 with the original Xbox console, I mean, things were looking up. The original Xbox didn't sell like crazy numbers, especially compared to the PlayStation 2. You know, selling about 24 million compared to the PS2's over 150. But my thing with that is like, it was a brand new brand. It was a completely unproven thing at that point. Like, everybody knew Nintendo and Sega at that time, and they really floundered that generation. Nintendo with the GameCube sold about like 21 million units, which is comparable to the Xbox. But when you consider the fact that like, oh, Nintendo has all of these iconic IPs that everybody knows about, everybody loves, you know, and the fact that they lost to the newcomer, like, it does show that I think Microsoft did a pretty damn good job with the original Xbox, even if it didn't really lead to amazing profits. The Xbox brand has always kind of floundered when it comes to making a profit. The Xbox brand has always taken a loss. Like, they've never really made a profit on these consoles. I think Microsoft kind of just keeps doing Xbox because, you know, like, it is a very big brand. Everybody knows Xbox. The gaming sphere is incredibly popular. Microsoft has their toe in it with this brand. So if it does kind of keep making a loss, it's their Microsoft. They make billions of dollars like every second. They can afford to keep losing money on this thing in the hopes that eventually they'll lose less money on it. But I just don't understand a lot of their tactics or what they're doing, because it feels like, especially in recent years, that Microsoft's like goal with Xbox is to just pump more money into it with hopes that eventually things will get better. When I'm just going like, you spend like $80 billion on Activision Blizzard. You throw money left and right at like random ass games to get them exclusive to Game Pass or a timed exclusive on Xbox, instead of just kind of focusing in on more of the stuff that I think really matters. And hey, a lot of that stuff does help out. A lot of that stuff can matter and can do well. But you look at other companies that, you know, end up making a lot more out of spending a lot less. And it feels like Microsoft's solution to try and make Xbox work is just keep throwing money at it. And I feel like they keep throwing money in some of the wrong ways. But, you know, let's kind of go over the, you know, just the brand in general. The original Xbox, you know, I always have a fondness for this one. You know, it was kind of like the weird one of the three big consoles that generation. Pretty much everybody I knew had a PS2, and a lot of people had a GameCube, you know, which made sense because, you know, I was like a dumb little kid at the time. GameCube was for dumb little kids. But every now and then, you'd see a kid that had an Xbox, and that kid honestly reeked of Doritos. But they were pretty damn cool. They felt like kind of the mature kid of the bunch. And honestly, I feel like the 6th generation of game consoles is as good as it is because of what the Xbox did. It was pretty much like a PlayStation 2 Pro. You got a lot of the major games that defined the PS2 on the Xbox, whether it was day and date or at some point that generation, stuff like the Metal Gear Solid games, Grand Theft Autos. But pretty much every single release was always the best version on the Xbox. It was the most powerful console at the time. In fact, not only did games look better, run better, but a lot of times they had more content in the Xbox versions. Third-party games pretty much across the board were always best on this console. But on top of that, even when it came to like exclusive games, I think the original Xbox, like Microsoft was really pumping things out on here. I mean, you launch with the original Halo, you get Halo 2 in 2004, but not only that, I mean, you have some pretty premier racing games. Project Gotham Racing was on the original Xbox, Forza Motorsports started on the original Xbox, the original Fable was on this console, and even like third-party exclusives. Doom 3 was an Xbox exclusive. Elder Scrolls Morrowind was an Xbox exclusive. They were also on PC, but in terms of consoles, you can only get them on the Xbox. And there was just so much other stuff where it's like Sega put out a ton of really cool exclusives on the Xbox. That generation kind of felt like Sega like went to each of the 3 console manufacturers after the Dreamcast was discontinued.
Well, it's
and they were
soon.
like, all right, we're gonna make these games that we were working on for the Dreamcast exclusive to GameCube, and these ones exclusive to Xbox, and these ones exclusive to PS2. And I felt like Xbox got a lot of big support from Sega. I mean, you have like Crazy Taxi 3, Toe Jam and Earl 3, Shenmue 2, you got Outrun 2 and Outrun 2006, and Microsoft really tried with their exclusives. I felt like they were really trying to like just cast a wide net and offer a ton of different games and different genres for all different types of players. I mean, like you had like party games with like Fusion Frenzy. You know, they tried to appeal to kids with, you know, kind of their mascot platformer Blinks. And most of these things, I feel like, you know, like they were okay successes, or they just didn't do anything like at all. Like you have Sneakers on the Xbox where you're a mouse finding other mice in a large house. That game was like a Toys R Us exclusive, and for good reason. You know, damn sure Walmart wouldn't take it. You know, they tried. You know, Microsoft really did try to appeal to a wide audience with this console. So much so that they kind of started a bit of a, you know, unique practice of theirs, which was pretty much just buying people. Yeah, it's kind of like annoying to mention this stuff constantly. You know, it feels like most people that are, you know, little Nintendo gremlins, whenever we decide to talk about Xbox, we constantly have to talk about Rare. Oh, Xbox bought Rare and they ruined them. Yeah, I'm kind of sick of hearing about this and talking about it too. But, you know, like,
Valley High Nissan is honoring our heroes with Memorial Day savings all month long. Choose from over 200 pre-owned vehicles and take advantage of our easy financing. Plus, Valley High Nissan will buy your car even if you don't buy ours. Visit Valley High Nissan today.
How about this? In Microsoft's defense, Nintendo wasn't interested in buying Rare. They could have bought Rare. They could have said, you know what, we're going to keep you guys under our wing. They decided against it. They just didn't care. They let it happen. They let Microsoft buy them out. And people usually look at Microsoft like they absolutely ruined Rare. And yeah, they definitely played a part in it, but, you know, like a lot of the games that people just didn't give a damn about that Rare put out under Microsoft supervision during the Xbox era, which like they put out 2 games, right? Literally just Grab by the Ghoulies and Conquer Live and Reloaded. And Conquer Live and Reloaded is a remake of the Nintendo 64 game. I might have a foggy memory with stuff that I've read about this, so of course, you know, please excuse me. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about sometimes. But it feels like to me that Rare was kind of facing a couple of like developmental issues. You know, a lot of these games that they were like developing started development on like the N64. And apparently Nintendo didn't want to purchase Rare because they didn't want to fund the projects that they were working on. I don't understand that reason either. I mean, Rare was the developer of the Donkey Kong Country series, which was, you know, a huge series for Nintendo. So it's just like, at the very least, like, Nintendo could buy Rare and just be like, all right, you're working on Donkey Kong games for us. But I'm not gonna act like I really understand or I know. At the end of the day, I do feel like Microsoft kind of gets just the butt of it all the time when talking about Rare, when I almost feel like Rare themselves just didn't really have a ton of like the greatest projects in the works at the time. But I just don't think Microsoft really manages a lot of these studios that they buy out very well either way. You know, like I feel like they're either too hands off or too hands on. So yeah, they can be blamed for the fact that Rare didn't really do anything of note during the Xbox era. In fact, like they didn't really do much of note for a while. But hey, Grab by the Ghoulies, it's fine. And Conquer Live and Reloaded, that remake definitely gets like a lot of flack sometimes because, you know, they change some weird things and, you know, it's more oddly censored than the Nintendo 64 game. But by and large, I think it's actually like a really good remake and like it looks incredible for an original Xbox game. This thing looks as good as like an Xbox 360 game. And that sentiment I have with that game carries over to the rest of the Xbox generation. I mean, I'm just thinking like, this was really impressive, especially for a first go at a home console. I mean, keep in mind, look at other companies just going like, oh yeah, we can do a video game console. It almost always, 99% of the time, it flops. Hell, companies like Amazon, Google, Apple, they can't do what Microsoft did here. Microsoft did a damn good job. But I think, honestly, a lot of that has to do with the fact that, you know, Microsoft started during, I think, a good time in the gaming industry. I feel like if Microsoft first entered the gaming industry in, like, 2020, I don't think it would be as good as it was here. I think they wouldn't really try to be, like, an actual, like, game console like the original Xbox was. I think they'd probably be trying to do a lot of the stuff they're trying to do now, like, oh, we're going to do a cloud streaming platform and we're going to do like a game subscription model, but without a lot of the identity of Xbox, which this console had so much identity. Just how big this damn controller is. It just screams Xbox. When you start up the Xbox console, it's like a fucking science experiment. The game cases are Mountain Dew green. Xbox Live really paved the way for online gaming. It's not like it introduced online gaming, but I think Xbox Live really set in stone that like online gaming is here to stay. It is a genuine big thing. And I feel like it just standardized it for the home console market. In the end, I feel like the original Xbox really hit it out of the park. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite game console. You know, obviously, you know, look at me. But the original Xbox felt like a true, like, gamer's console. But it felt like you were kind of like playing with fire, picking that.
So later.
Over the PS2. The PS2 just...
Alright.
Just had like literally everything. While the Xbox had, you know, a lot of the stuff the PS2 had, and it also had some cool, unique stuff on its own. But it's like the choice was obvious that the PS2 was kind of the console to go for that generation. I mean, hell, it was a DVD player. The Xbox could play DVDs too, but it was kind of weird. You had to buy the DVD remote for the Xbox for DVDs to like work on the thing. You couldn't just use the controller here, which is weird, but whatever. The original Xbox was an amazing first step for Microsoft in the gaming market. And what followed up here might be one of the best game consoles of all time. At least for the first half of its life. The Xbox 360 might be one of Microsoft's best products they've ever released, and also one of the worst ones they've ever released as well. This thing did so much, but caused so many problems, and kind of set themselves up to, you know, really struggle afterwards. But it's the Xbox 360. It's incredible. It's almost like the roles...
Mm. Bullet sequences. Bullet sequences. Alright.
Reversed this generation, where the 360, at least for the first bit of its life, was kind of like what the PS2 was in the 6th generation. I mean, like, it felt like you were more so playing with fire buying a PS3 than with an Xbox 360, even though it was much more likely the Xbox 360 was going to catch fire. Yes, the Red Ring of Death. The Xbox 360 had an extraordinarily high failure rate. That just made it like not an if, but a when this console was going to break down for you. They lost so much damn money on repairs for this thing, and they had to do it. Like, that's just how this damn thing shipped. But you know what was wild? It almost felt like that was okay. I mean, it wasn't okay, but it kind of felt like the 360 was so good at what it did that it didn't really even matter. This felt like the ultimate gaming device. It just felt like it could do like everything you could want. Even though the PS3 could do more stuff, the Xbox 360 could do more practical stuff. Plus, it was cheaper than that console. It made a lot more sense. You got so many games on here. It was sort of backwards compatible with the original Xbox, like, to an extent. Like, there are some games that just won't work. There are some games that work, but they look weird. And there are some games that work perfectly on it. Who knows? I do like playing original Xbox games on the Xbox 360, but, you know, it's all emulated. And I think especially at that time, you know, it was harder to get emulation 100% right. And they eventually just said, like, this doesn't make financial sense. Nobody even uses backwards compatibility. We're gonna stop. But I do have to like go to the list of backwards compatible Xbox games on Xbox 360 every now and then, and there are some surprising ones that are on there. The Guy game is backwards compatible. Why? Whatever. The point is, the Xbox 360 was firing at all cylinders, especially when it came to exclusives, third-party multi-plans. It was the best place to play everything.
Yo. Thank you. 4. Thank you for 12 months. Wow. 13 months. Thank you, Philly Polly. Much appreciated, brother. $13 months, that's so long. Much appreciated. Let's go. Let's freaking go. Can't kill him. I'm out. Alright.
PS3 at the time was just like kind of garbage. It
didn't feel like 13 months, did it? It's been 13 months, I guess. You're one of my most subbed. Most subbed. Longest subs. Point something. Billion gold.
It was overpriced. The exclusives just weren't really there the first few years of the console's life. And because of the architecture Sony used on the PS3, it was harder for developers to make games for it. So many times, like when it came to multi-platform titles, even though the PS3 was far more powerful than the 360, the 360 versions generally looked and ran and played a lot better. And in addition, Microsoft actually got a fair amount of exclusive games from third parties at the time. Off the top of my head, you had BioShock. That was a 360 exclusive initially. Microsoft published the first Mass Effect. Oblivion was a 360 exclusive. And then you had Microsoft pumping out Fable 2, Halo 3, Crackdown. Gears of War blew up and was this huge new franchise for them. Forza Motorsport blew up, and then you also had the spin-off series Forza Horizon eventually come out. And then you had the digital side of things with Xbox Live Arcade, which this was something on the original Xbox, but it exploded on the 360. You know, like this was where kind of the digital revolution began, where Xbox Live Arcade on the original Xbox, a lot of those games were genuinely like arcade games, or it was like your Feeding Frenzy games, you know, like stuff that was like these very simple casual games, and there wasn't a ton of them on the original Xbox. It was honestly like a couple dozen. Xbox Live Arcade on the 360 became like this breeding ground for classic arcade games, reboots of classic arcade games, remakes, just like ports of games, and then like these brand new ideas, indie releases like Super Meat Boy, Braid. That was like the big OG indie game on consoles. You know, the 360 was amazing. But that was like the first half of its life generally. I think the latter half of the 360's life, things started to get a little gross. And I think this is genuinely like where the fall of Xbox kind of started to happen. You know, we can look at like literally every era of Xbox. It's been a rocky road for them. As successful as the brand has been, you know, never really turned a profit, has always had issues. I mean, the 360, even during the first half of its life, I mean, you were having faulty ass units all over the place. Like, as good as things were, they were also absolutely horrible. But I think the second half of the 360's life was so focused on getting that casual audience. The Xbox was like the center of the living room, all about media. You know, things started to get a little weird with the Kinect. And everybody fell for this.
Such a dumbass,
launched
bro.
in 2010, right alongside
Could've killed
Sony's
him.
attempt to compete with the Wii, the PlayStation Move. And, you know, it was no contest. The Kinect was far more successful, far more appealing. It's weird as hell because, like, Sony had a very similar product for the PS2, the iToy. You know, of course, the iToy was more or less just like a basic-ass webcam. And then the games that you'd play with the iToy would kind of do something funny with it. The Kinect had a lot more tech behind it. Even though, more or less, it was kind of the same idea as the iToy for the PS2. And listen, man, I think it's really easy to just dog on the Kinect. You know, everybody hates the thing. It kind of killed Xbox for a bit there. Every E3 press conference from Microsoft from like 2010 to 2011 to 2012, it was so focused on Kinect, and like people were like, bro, like this is awful. And like nobody wants to play Kinect anymore. Like absolutely nobody. Everybody is nostalgic for the Wii back then. Like Kinects literally rot in game stores these days. It was such a fad. As much as the Wii was sort of a fad, people still want to play Wii games. Nobody wants to play the Kinect anymore. But it was successful at the time, you know? I bought a Kinect. My friends bought a Kinect. It was kind of a perfect time for Microsoft to introduce that because, you know, the Wii was starting to fizzle out. I think people, including myself, were kind of feeling like, hey, you know, like I really like my Wii, but, you know, it's kind of starting to get to the end of its life. I'm not really getting as much as I really can out of it. So you end up getting an Xbox 360, but you kind of want those fun motion control games as well. Here you go. You have the Kinect, and it's different. It's more unique, and you have that whole marketing of like, hey, you're the controller. You don't need no stinking controller anymore. And a lot of the games were fun enough. You know, Kinect Adventures, the pack-in game for Kinect, had some fun stuff in it. Kinect Sports was pretty enjoyable. You had a few games here and there, especially like the dancing games, Dance Central, Just Dance. You know, those all worked really well with Kinect. But it was so damn obvious when you got a Kinect that it's just like, hey, this is kind of cool for an afternoon. And then it kind of felt like you had to force yourself to use it after that. It obviously wasn't really like the future of things. Of course, I think a lot of people claiming that like, hey, gaming should always be about this right here. I just feel like it's a little closed-minded, you know? Like, to think that all video games are and can ever be is controlled by something with 4 face buttons, 2 triggers, 2 shoulder buttons, 2 sticks. You know, I feel like it's like, that limits video games so much, you know? Yes, most general video games can be played with something like this, but, you know, that boxes in what video games can be. I think you should have stuff like the Kinect or the Wii Remote and PlayStation Move, all of this funky stuff. But you know what was strange? Most of the things that Kinect did felt more limited than what they would feel like if you had like an actual controller in your hands. I honestly feel like the idea of like, oh, you being the controller just didn't really feel as immersive as I think Microsoft kind of implied that it would make you feel in their marketing. You know, like something like, let's say, Kinect Star Wars. Oh my God, you have 1-to-1 lightsaber battles. It's like, what feels more immersive? Actually holding something in your hand that, you know, you swipe around and oh my God, in the game, you're, you know, wielding a lightsaber. Or pretending you're holding a lightsaber when you're actually holding absolutely nothing. And you're just like wailing your arms around. You know, it doesn't feel as immersive as you hope it would. In addition, at this time, Microsoft was kind of moving towards like, hey, a casual market, media consumption on the Xbox. You know, I remember at E3 press conferences, they were showing off like
Can you fixate on the moon? Sure. Not really.
And all the media apps you could play on the Xbox 360. And when it came to exclusives, it felt like Microsoft started to become kind of complacent with or reliable. You know, by the end of things, you know, we weren't really getting like a Microsoft that was trying to push like brand new exclusives and try to get like working with third parties to get certain games as exclusives to the Xbox 360. By E3 2011, they announced Halo 4.
He's one-shottable,
you know, directly after Halo 3, which the thing with that game was like, oh, finish the fight. It's ending here. And then you had, you know, kind of the side title or like prequel to that, Halo Reach in 2010 being the last Bungie-developed Halo game. And E3 2011, here's Halo 4. It's like, you know, it felt like you're milking it at this point. Especially at the time, Halo 4 was announced to be like the start of a new trilogy. I think it was called like the Reclaimer trilogy. And I guess that kind of happened with Halo 5 and then Halo Infinite. But, you know, that was over a period of like 10 years. Halo 4 was announced in 2011. Halo Infinite launched in 2021. And Halo 5 and Halo Infinite weren't on the 360. And they were like going like, this is going to be a new trilogy of games on the 360. It's like, okay. You know, you have Gears of War 3 and Gears of War Judgment. And then, you know, more Forza Horizon. It's just the same thing over and over and over again. And more Kinect titles. And it just kind of felt like at this time, Microsoft was losing a lot of steam. They felt a little directionless. It was like they didn't really know where to go with, you know, the games they were releasing on their console. And it just kind of felt like Xbox became, all about Kinect and media consumption. Especially when the PS3 was starting to do really well. I mean, you were getting so many big, awesome exclusives on the thing. Especially like the final year of the PS3 and Xbox 360 being like, you know, the main consoles until like their successors came out. You know, 2013, right before PS4 launched, like a couple months before, you got The Last of Us. Literally like one of the defining exclusives of the PS3. In 2013 on the 360, like what? Like Gears of War Judgment? Ew! Xbox wasn't really the same as it was near the beginning of the 360 generation. And that was blatantly noticeable when they announced the Xbox One. All right, as much as the latter half of the 360's life is the fall of Xbox, this is like literally like when they hit the bottom of the grave. The Xbox One will go down in history as one of the greatest gaming disasters of all time. Even though the console ended up doing like fine. The announcement debacle was so horrendous. Like it was iconic. It was legendary. 2013 was an absolutely wild time for gaming. I mean, like this was a really damn good year. First off, there was like constantly big new releases, especially on the previous generation of systems, which was, you know, going out at the time. You know, we get this new generation coming in, but you know, for a big final year for that, it was incredible. BioShock Infinite, Tomb Raider, Grand Theft Auto 5. It's like, my lord. And then you cap it off with with the Xbox One and PS4 launching. And PS4 was initially announced in like early 2013. They had this big old press conference. They didn't even show the console at the time. They just showed the DualShock 4 controller and a bunch of games. And it was a solid showing. I think they did a good job really pushing forward and showing like, hey, like this is the PS4. This is what we're looking to do with it. It felt like Sony had a direction they were heading in.
Feel hungover, guys.
Microsoft also had a direction they were heading in. It was the wrong one. So the Xbox One was officially revealed in May of 2013, a couple months later. And this showing was horrible. They barely showed off like any games, really. I mean, like for the most part, a lot of the games they were showing were games that were so tone deaf. It's like, who the hell cares about this? They mainly talked about EA Sports titles in Call of Duty and watching TV on the Xbox One. How this Xbox One has a brand new Kinect sensor that's a lot more accurate. Oh, also, it's required. You can't unplug it, which is like one of the dumbest things ever. It comes standard with every Xbox One, and the Xbox One needs the Kinect plugged in for it to work properly. Why? That's just so stupid. I get why they included it with every box. You know, as dumb as that also is, I understand they wanted you to do that just so then like, hey, like every Xbox One like comes with a Kinect, so then like developers will feel more inclined to support it. Because on the 360, you know, to develop the Kinect title, you know, you're developing it for a very minute number of 360 owners that own a Kinect. You know, the Kinect did really well, but it's still like a fraction of 360 owners owned a Kinect. Now with the Xbox One, every Xbox One comes with a Kinect, so there's no excuse not to develop Kinect games. With that being said, it's still dumb because it raised the price substantially with this thing for something that most games weren't using. Kind of a lot of the same problem with like the Wii U and Wii U gamepad. Most games didn't use the Wii U gamepad in very like substantial ways. So that's why so many people were begging for Nintendo to like do a gamepadless bundle where it's just the Wii U and the Wii U Pro controller. But no, Nintendo stuck to their guns, and Microsoft almost tried to stick to their guns because in addition, the Xbox One had to connect to the internet. They had to do an online check-in. So effectively, this console was supposed to be always online. Nowadays, that isn't really like anything new at all. Technically, the PlayStation 5 requires like an online check-in, at least if you're, you know, hooking up a disk drive to your PlayStation 5. It has to check online for you to use that disk drive. And there's so many games that require online at all times. Like, that isn't really anything new these days. That isn't anything special. But back in 2013, that was ballsy. You know, so many people were like, yeah, I don't really have a consistent enough internet connection. I don't really have great internet access. But you know, like they were still like, hey, we got to do this, especially because they wanted to be able to detect if you have a used game or not. That was another big thing. The Xbox One would detect if your game was a used game and it wouldn't play them. They were ahead of the time with this thing in many ways. Like, this feels like a console that just should have been like a digital only console. Like, if you're gonna force me to use like new games like nonstop with this thing, why even have discs with it? Like, you know, like it just makes it so much simpler to just make it digital only. But like, yeah, you can't go digital only because this is 2013. As far as the internet was along at that time, you know, it's not like we were still like constantly in dial-up times, but still, you know, like it wasn't reliable enough. Like, the internet wasn't at a point where like you could feasibly do that, but they damn well tried. And they got such massive backlash with it that, you know, a couple weeks later, they rolled back everything. They pretty much feverishly went, okay, the Xbox One doesn't require you to leave the Kinect plugged in. It won't require online check-ins, and you can play used games on it. Of course, Microsoft's vision with this console was very cloud-based, and, you know, there was like a lot of ideas behind, like, oh, there was Crackdown 3. That was supposedly going to be like a big cloud-based game, and it was going to utilize the power of the cloud. Of course, you look at how Crackdown 3 turned out, and it's like, okay, buddy. But they had a vision for this console. And that vision was completely stripped away because their vision, the only thing we were really getting told about this vision in 2013 was all the horrible negative things about it. I'm not advocating for what Microsoft intended the Xbox One to be at the time, but you can't deny that like they had a more focused direction they were heading with the console before they changed all of this stuff. After they changed it, I think the Xbox One became a better, more consumer-friendly product, especially when they were kind of trying to course correct and they were trying to win people over later on in the generation. But when you take a look at the Xbox One's legacy, what the hell is it? This console has no character. The entire generation, they were just constantly trying to do whatever they could to win consumers back. This console launched at $500, $100 more than the PS4. And it just took basically like 6 months for them to release a bundle that stripped the Kinect out of there, and it was only $400. Which they needed to do, man, because at launch, the Xbox One was less powerful than the PS4. So what, you're gonna spend more money on a less powerful console? But to be fair, at the launch of the Xbox One, I honestly think it had better exclusives. You had Dead Rising 3, Rise Son of Rome, Forza 5, compared to the PS4's, which was like Knack and Killzone Shadowfall. And like, yeah, the Xbox One had the better end of the stick there. Dead Rising 3 is pretty good. Rise Son of Rome was a pretty good like technical achievement. It wasn't a bad game. And then you have Forza 5 for your Forza fans. But then after that, like what was going on? Well, you had the Halo Master Chief Collection, which like launched in an abysmal state. Quantum Break, which was meant to like correlate with a TV show. I never played Quantum Break, so I have no fucking idea. Microsoft really tried with Rise of the Tomb Raider. That was a third-party exclusive they bought the rights for like a year. It was a timed exclusive, and people were pissing and moaning about that when like Sony does that all the time. So I'm just like, this is kind of dumb. Yeah, it's a little lame that Microsoft bought the rights to this game for a year, even though it would have come out regardless, like if Microsoft didn't do that. But like Sony does that all the time. On the PS5, Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, those were PS5 timed exclusives. The Final Fantasy games, like those are all timed exclusives on PlayStation. You had Halo 5, which didn't really please anybody. Gears of War 4 and 5, which are quality games, but they just kind of feel a little like empty to me. I don't know, where I'm like, you know, they please some Gears of War fans, but you know, that's all they really feel like they do at this point. Got to the point where it's pretty much just a bunch of Forza. That was like your go-to game on Xbox One, was just the constant Forza games they were pumping out every single year. You know, there's good stuff every now and then. Rare Replay was a great compilation. Sunset Overdrive, that was a super fun game, but, you know, it sold horribly. Sea of Thieves, that launched kind of like a bit of a mixed state, but, you know, it eventually became like one of the biggest multiplayer games out there. But yeah, to be honest, the Xbox One was just a very empty console. It got games, yeah, but like it felt like it was really struggling with exclusives. Like the exclusives Microsoft was putting out just weren't really worthwhile. Even if they were good games, it didn't feel like they were good enough games to warrant buying an entire console for. And even then, when pretty much all you're putting out is Forza, Halo, Gears of War, and then you have like your random little title here and there. Dead Rising 4 was Xbox One exclusive for like a year. Oh boy, Super Lucky's Tale, Recore, like it's just like all of these games just did not do a damn thing. But at least when it came to appealing to consumers, I think Microsoft was really trying here. I mean, not only did they get rid of the Kinect and they pretty much like stopped Kinect support like halfway through the Xbox One's life, they slashed the price of this thing and they introduced Xbox 360 backwards compatibility with the Xbox One. That was a big thing this generation, you know, the lack of backwards compatibility. Well, they brought it back for select titles. And, you know, eventually over the years, I think the Xbox One had a very respectable lineup of Xbox 360 games you could play on it. They looked and ran better on Xbox One. You could use your OG discs. You could buy them on the store. If you bought them originally on Xbox 360, you could just play them on Xbox One free of charge. And eventually they did the same for Xbox games, which they barely did any of these. They only did like 50 of them or so. Still, it's nice that they did that, but, you know, I mean, like 50 Xbox games out of like, what, 1,000 or so they released. The Xbox 360 definitely had like a more respectable amount available. And, you know, it's something where, you know, when they stopped putting out Xbox backwards compatible titles, they said, like, we pretty much reached the limit of what we can do. I kind of disagree with that. I think they reached the limit based on like what they wanted to do. Like they were like, we could keep going, but Microsoft didn't want to keep like putting money into like doing this. They kind of implied that it was like a licensing thing where it's like, yeah, pretty much like we got to the extent of like what we could do like licensing and legally. I'm like, bro, they didn't even do the original Halo for Xbox. You can't put in Halo 1 on the Xbox One and it's gonna work. Like you just can't do it. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. But still, a really cool thing, like a very pro-consumer move. Just the fact you can use your old discs is great. And then they introduced Xbox Game Pass, which was like this crazy deal. You pay a subscription fee and you can download all of these games. You know, you don't stream them or anything. You don't do any of that nonsense. You pay a monthly fee and you can download just all these games, as many as you want, as long as they're available on the Game Pass service. Bro, they were practically giving this stuff away. Like, they were giving away like week-long Game Pass codes in like Pop-Tart boxes. It was nuts. And it was an incredible deal. Like, it was insane. Maybe a little too insane, because this whole subscription model pretty much overtook Game Pass there. Like, it was an amazing deal. It was super cool at first, but it got to the point that this was pretty much Microsoft's future with Xbox. Xbox was no longer like this console idea for them. It became all about the service, and it became all about just like offering things, you know, like, let's put Xbox everywhere we can. Let's put an Xbox app everywhere we can. They started investing more into Game Pass than they did like actual exclusives for the Xbox. They started investing more into cloud streaming and purchasing studios, which initially is like, oh, that's all fine and good. But you just start to see like how, like, okay, you're spending all this money and what's happening? Because near the end of the Xbox One's life, like, there was pretty much nothing. Like, pretty much the last major exclusive for the Xbox One was Gears 5. After that, we didn't really get anything. What, Battletoads on Xbox One? Like, no. Because by 2020, we got the Xbox Series X and S. What wonderful consoles. A tremendous leap of a generation. Just look at how different things are now. The Xbox Series X and S are fundamentally just souped up Xbox Ones. That's what it is. I like that from the perspective that, like, hey, like, you're pretty much just continuing on the Xbox One generation. The store's the same, you know, your library carries over, all of that stuff. But at the same time, you can just genuinely see that, like, Microsoft is more so looking at the Xbox Series X and S as like a vehicle to, like, subscribe to their services, rather than like seeing them as like entities to support, I guess. Because the Xbox Series X launched with like nothing. Pretty much just launched with like an enhanced versions of Xbox One games. It was meant to launch with Halo Infinite, but even then, Halo Infinite was going to come out on Xbox One as well. But they delayed that a year, and it came out okay. But it's like the Xbox Series X has just been like pretty much like, oh, it's a very good piece of hardware with nothing to show for it. Microsoft had struggled so much with putting out consistent exclusives, to the point that like they really didn't for a couple of years there. They'd put out games, sure, but it was like it was really, really barren. Pretty much the only thing they were putting out was like new updates to Game Pass, which was like, oh, here's the game that's gonna be in Game Pass this month. It's like cool, but that's all Microsoft really became. And guess what? They kept buying more studios. They bought Bethesda, and then they bought Activision Blizzard. Billions upon billions upon billions of dollars are spent here. And it's like the initial idea is kind of cool, where it's like, wow, Microsoft is really gonna just lock in here. They're really gonna compete with Sony. Bethesda games are gonna be exclusive. Activision games are gonna be exclusive. And then it turns out, no. It's not that I necessarily want a lot of these games to be exclusive, but at the very least, it felt like Microsoft was really wanting to become much more competitive with Sony. And initially, they kind of wanted to do that. They tried a couple Bethesda games exclusive, and it didn't work out because Bethesda was not doing well. Pretty much all the games they were putting out were not anything great. Oh, well, yeah, Redfall, yeah, it turned out great. And Starfield, which is a fine game, but, you know, expecting it to do, like, Fallout or Elder Scrolls numbers, like, people just weren't that interested in it overall. It just didn't turn out to be that generation-defining game that Bethesda released previously. You know, like, it just felt like it was a generation or two behind. And guess what? Because these acquisitions cost a lot of money, and they also just weren't bringing in enough money themselves, Microsoft started closing damn studios. They closed the studio that made the only damn exclusive worth it on Xbox, Hi-Fi Rush. Thankfully, that studio got saved. but still, they raise Game Pass prices because this stuff gets expensive. And it's like, it's at the point where Game Pass, while I think it is still a good deal, it's only really a great deal if you're constantly playing games on it. If you're not, and you just kind of use it every now and then like me, you're actively losing money on it constantly. There might be a month where I don't play a Game Pass game, and it's like, okay, well, yep, I wasted money that month. And with them having to raise prices, like, it isn't the same deal it used to be. And now, like, Microsoft is pretty much going multi-platform. Bethesda games, they gave up on making those Xbox exclusives. You know, Doom the Dark Ages, PS5 in addition to Xbox Series X. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, you know, they made that Xbox exclusive for a bit, but then, you know, PS5 release. Because it's obvious Microsoft wants to expand their horizons. I think they understand that their exclusives, while they can be great, but for the most part, they've been kind of dog. I think they're more interested in becoming like the biggest game publisher and turning Xbox into a service that's available everywhere, on your other game consoles, on your tablet, on your laptop, on your TV. And I understand that move, but it is really sad because you can see a way where Microsoft could have made this work, where they could have been like, hey, like the Xbox is a genuine competitor to the PS5. These days, like, yeah, there is some reason to own an Xbox Series X over a PS5. I think the backwards compatibility options are tremendous. You know, the fact I can use old discs on the Xbox Series X, that's great. But, you know, Microsoft is moving to a digital-only world. Eventually, that feature is not really going to be there. And then you also have like, oh man, Game Pass, that's a great deal. It's just getting to the point, man, where it's just like, I just don't really care about Game Pass. I don't think it's as good of a deal as it used to be. And even then, I look over on the PlayStation 5, and PlayStation Plus Premium is honestly pretty damn good. I think it's just as good, if not better than Game Pass in many ways. Yeah, Game Pass had the whole like, oh yeah, you know, Xbox Studios titles are day and date on Game Pass. That doesn't mean a damn thing anymore. Have you seen Xbox Studios titles? Yes, they made a big splash with Call of Duty Black Ops 6. You know, that was the first Call of Duty that's like, hey, this is gonna be on Game Pass, day and date. But it's like, you know, did that really matter all that much? I feel like it would have mattered a lot more if Black Ops 6 was like exclusive for a month on Xbox consoles. Because honestly, Game Pass is getting to a point where it is pricey, where it's like, yeah, like if you're interested in Black Ops 6, like, are you really interested in all the other crap on Game Pass? Probably not. A lot of people, honestly, all they play is Call of Duty. So like, you can just buy Call of Duty and just, it's one and done, you're over with it. Or you can subscribe to Game Pass, where you're gonna pay like a third of the price of Call of Duty for 1 month, and then you're gonna risk forgetting about it, and then you're gonna be overpaying for it for months straight. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people are getting tired of like subscription services like that. So it's like, I don't know, man. The point I'm trying to make is, as much as like Xbox go.
Mirror Mick.
Alright.
I think I'm gonna take a break. See you guys later.